disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. Just, I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. Lobito! Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Well. Welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. This is a good friend, Mr. BDA, and I'm glad that everybody could be on board for this one. Fellas, we're starting off the year with at least one card this Saturday, first week of the year 2023, and so we're all very happy about that. We got an array of fights. Some of them a little better than others. Some of them shouldn't even be on pay-per-view. But hey, listen, it is what it is, fellas. All right, so we're going to talk all about that. Going to be opening up the phone lines near about the end of the hour, as always. But before we get down to the business, let's get the... Before we get to the fun, let's get the business out of the way. Excuse me, my apologies. You guys know the drill. You can check us out on iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker, at your leisure. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you can certainly do so via the Super Chat feature. It's always better if you join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. All right, fellas, you get special emojis, badges, the whole shebang. But the most important thing is you continue to like, subscribe, spread the BDA gospel, all right? 2023, it's the year is starting to get a little bit more shakier, so we need the BDA gospel more than ever, all right? People need it. People need to be illuminated, all right? So make sure you do that, fellas. Make sure you do that right now. In any event, shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about Never Sober, Fluffy Toast 89. I'm going to shout you out again. Why not? The Cash Cow, Piñata, Sergeant USMC, Jay Perez in the house, the Quacks. Shout out to the Quacks. Shout out to One Foot at the Door, Never Sober, Alejandro Solis, Timothy Figueroa, Will, the Degenerate Boxing Fan. Shout out to him for his contribution to Super Chat. He says, round 2. Indeed. Hey, listen, we don't give up here. Shaky start. One round. That's one round. Did Joe Calzaghe get disillusioned when he got dropped by Bernard Hopkins? Did he dwell on that? No. He dusted himself off, pulled himself up by his bootstraps and said, let's go. And that's what we're going to be doing here right now. All right. We're going to be talking about Hector Garcia versus Gervonta Tank Davis. This fight is taking place on a Showtime pay-per-view card. Shouldn't really be pay-per-view, but it is what it is. We've got Jaron Ennis versus Karen on the undercard, Rashidi Ellis versus the hard-punching Royman Villa, and Demetrius Andrade versus Damon Nicholson, the guy who has a distinction of being the first man to go the distance with Berlanga. So, I mean, they're not the worst fights out there, but it's just the problem is pay-per-view. In any event, let's start off with the main event. Hector Luis Garcia moving up from 130, and he'd only been at 130 for a year last year when he moved up at the last minute to take on Chris Colbert, whom he upset him, so good for him. And then he beat Roger Gutierrez, but now he's moving up at 135 against a guy that whacks pretty hard. And so we don't know what's going to happen. Gonzalo, I got the guns here with us, by the way, fellas. Gonzalo, thank you for being on, man. What are you expecting on Saturday between Hector Luis Garcia and Gervonta Tank Davis?
I expect Hector Garcia to come out boxing and trading at times, because he said it. He calls himself el android or something. You know, that he's a good boxer, but he likes to give the fans a show. And that's the problem, I think. Although he's undefeated, and obviously he's undefeated, he's never been knocked out. Although he's undefeated, does that mean that he can take a good punch and that he doesn't run the risk of maybe like not getting knocked out and he could make it to the final bell? Well, yeah, you could assume that, but really, I mean, anybody that gets hit hard by a punch, for example, like a guy from Gervonta Davis who's explosive. I mean, the human brain is not designed to take those type of shots. So I certainly wouldn't give Tank Davis a free shot. I wouldn't go in there and just put my face out there to try to test if I can take his punch or not. So in other words, I wouldn't go in there banging with the dude. Yeah, I'd go in there boxing, and I will try to go in there to put a show. But I would also be cautious. I would also tuck my chin, carry my hands high, box and test out the guy, exchange punches with him, but do it in a responsible manner. And so I would try to give the fans a show, but I wouldn't do it just for the sake of testing that dude's punch and showing the people that I got big balls. No, I would do it responsibly. Mm-hmm. And how he goes about that, well, he's a professional boxer. That's his job. I do want to see an exciting fight, but yeah, man, Tank Davis is explosive. When his punch travels from A to B, man, he's got short arms. You hardly see it coming, and he's compact. The punch will catch you and dude, it'll put you in your ass because you don't see it coming. Boom, explosive, hot like a firecracker. So yeah, I expect an exciting fight. He's good enough to win rounds, but if he allows himself to be like a sitting duck, he's gonna get caught with the wrong punch. And like I said, that dude got 24 knockouts in 25 fights, and I know that the Yuri Ortiz Gamboa fight is a little bit of a like, hey, what happened there? Yeah. So, I mean, it remains to be seen. But I think, yeah, don't give this dude free shots like the one you did Rolly Romero. Don't be a sitting duck. Don't allow this dude to time you with that fucking short shot that's going to catch you. Boom, because like I said, he's compact. Punches really hard. But if he doesn't give him the free shot, man, yeah, you make it hard for him to line you up. Hey, he's not going to hit as hard. Don't give him the distance. That's what I would do. You're 5'9". Yes, you're moving up, but you're the taller dude. And by the way, he thought Roger Garcia can crack? No. But I think the problem here with Tank Davis is that he's explosive, like I said. That's basically what I see.
Tank Davis is very explosive, absolutely. And I like how you said, look, he has to fight, because you brought up Leo Santa Cruz before, when we first started earlier. And I think that's a great comparison. Hector Luis Garcia is another guy. He's a natural featherweight. He's moving up just for this opportunity. He throws a lot of shots. He's seasoned. But he's moving up against one of the biggest punchers. I mean, it's bad enough to move up in two weight classes in under a year. Now he's doing it against one of the biggest punchers out there. And I've heard people say, Tank Davis doesn't crack. His power is overrated. I don't know, man. Like, I'm with you on that, Gonzalo. I think he's a bona fide puncher. And somebody else in the chat also mentioned that Hector Luis Garcia fights with his hands down. He can get away with that with Colbert, with Gutierrez, whom he was able to see what was coming a little bit better. Tank Davis is faster now, but here's the thing though, Gonzalo, and you've heard me harp on about this for years about how Tank Davis, if you look at his past couple of fights, and overall his career as well, he's not the most active guy in the ring in terms of punch output. And some people say, well, it's because he doesn't need to. Look at the results. He tends to knock people out. Yeah, he tends to. But it's like that Deontay Wilder situation. What happens when he encounters a guy that he can't knock out? And we saw what happened against Isaac Cruz. Couldn't fucking nail him the way he wanted to, one punch at a time. His work rate was barely enough to beat Isaac Cruz. He had to come up, the crowd certainly didn't like the fight. Then he had to come up with the excuse later on, I hurt my hand, even though he never actually showed medical proof for it. So, I don't know, man. What do you think? Do you think this is the worst... Oh, by the way, that's the other thing, because some people in the chat are saying, I didn't see it, but according to the show, people watching the Showtime preview, they say Tank Davis is looking out of shape, that he's looking a little chubby. Doesn't he always, facially, he always looks chubby, though, doesn't he? I mean, he's not like a fucking Native American where you can see the fucking pronounced cheekbones. Well, what do you think? Have you seen any of that?
Yeah, he looks like a little garbage. He looks like a little garbage pail kid, like a little Teletubby. Uh-huh. Yeah, he's got like that baby fat.
Right, but that doesn't mean he's out of shape, right, for this one?
Nah, probably not. No, of course not. They all train. They all go through training camps.
I got to tell you, though, this would be the worst opponent to be out of shape against because, Hector Luis Garcia, yes, he's coming up in weight. He was only fighting at 126 until recently. and he's not the most, he's not the hardest puncher out there. But like I said, he's determined. According to his trainer or manager or whatever, he's got over 400 amateur fights. He did go to the Olympics, and he's got a good gas tank. You watch the Colbert fight, this guy never stopped throwing. The only time he took it easy was in the 12th round, and that was when Colbert started running all over the place, just trying to survive. You watch his fight against Gutierrez too, good work rate. In fact, let me just pull it up here so I can have some visuals. According to the CompuBox numbers for the Chris Colbert fight, which was really his coming out party, he threw 733 shots. Gonzalo, this is a guy that I like to, the term workhorse, I think really seems to apply here, don't you think? Now, here's the other thing. But here's the other thing I want to ask you. Southpaws. They're both southpaws. A southpaw doesn't like to fight another southpaw usually. Do you think, too, that we're going to be seeing more jabs than usual from these two guys?
Yeah, probably. Just to see how they're going to approach the fighting, the second punch, how they're gonna line up and fence with the other guy, fence the other guy, to line them up, see how they're gonna enter into the exchanges. So because you hardly ever fight with other southpaws as much as you do with righties. So
exactly, yeah.
It all depends. I don't know for sure, but maybe.
You know what I don't want to see, Gonzalo? Like you mentioned, the very good breakdown of Garcia has to avoid exchanging with Tank Davis, which is going to be hard because you can tell this guy likes to throw combos. He likes to get in there and mix it up. It reminds me too of Hector Pedraza. Excuse me, Jose Pedraza. Remember Pedraza? He's a wily guy. He throws a lot of feints. He uses his length and reach. Then he fights Tank Davis. He's taking the fight to him, slugging it out on the inside against the shorter guy, and you're thinking, what the? And he's never done that since. So I don't want to see Hector Garcia. In other words, would it be fair to say that, like you said, Hector Garcia has to fight like the android and not like the mongoloid?
Yeah, I think with Jose Pedraza, he underestimated the little guy's punching power, and it could be one of those situations where Tank Davis doesn't necessarily like hit you with everything with power, like some of his shots, even though on the inside he can catch you with some power, all of a sudden 1 out of the 3 or 1 out of 5 shots is going to really, really have power. It just depends how he lines you up and how confident and how quickly he delivers that shot. And not all of them come out like that. But he made a mistake. He made a mistake. He got a little too comfortable, assuming that he could take Jose Pedraza's power. That he could take Tank Davis' power. I'm talking about Jose Pedraza. I wouldn't do this if I were Hector Garcia. I wouldn't languish too much on the inside. But what I mean by exchanging, yeah, you can exchange, but don't exchange. Don't be there for the second or third punch. Don't make it exchanging too many shots in the inside, just sitting there too comfortably. If you're gonna exchange, get in there, throw 1, 2, step away, and don't give that guy the distance. Tank Davis, don't give him the distance. And if you exchange, when you go in there, going with your hands high and trade 1 for 1, and if he's gonna catch you with something, roll away from it or partially block it, then move outside. Don't sit there for the second or third punch because he's gonna line you up. That's Tank Davis. Don't do that.
And listen, I wanna just give my prediction right away because everything you're saying is on point, and I think this is gonna be another Santa Cruz type scenario. Like Grim Reaper in the chat says, he might get some confidence going and then get cracked the hard one. I think that's what's gonna happen. I think Hector Luis Garcia is gonna give him a very hard fight. Might even be leading in the fight, and eventually something's gonna happen. He's gonna get cracked and he's gonna go away. Again, fellas, this is a guy that was fighting at 126. As early as late 2020, I believe. So this is another Santa Cruz fight. This guy's seasoned, he's good, but he's fighting out of his weight class against one of the biggest punchers in the lightweight division, if not the whole of boxing. He's got to be there in top 10 pound for pound punchers, Gervonta Davis. So I don't know, man. I'm dubious about how this fight goes. And like I said, I don't want to see Garcia fighting like the Mongoloid. I want to see him fighting, like his nickname says, the android, but a smart android, a smart cyborg who thinks in there a little bit. That's what I want to see. So that's what I'm saying, Gonzalo. My prediction is, I think Garcia's gonna give him the business, but I think perhaps Tank Davis is gonna bail himself out yet again with his power. What do you think? You want to give the prediction right off the bat?
I would say that. Jesus, man.
Hey, come on! Don't take that Lord's name in vain, man.
I think Hector Garcia makes it to 12 rounds. Let me see. 11 round knockout. I'm gonna say Tank Davis TKO 9th round. Similar to Mario Barrios.
Yeah.
Similar.
Well, listen, let me read a couple of comments here from the chat, see what people are saying. Will the Degenerate says, I argue Hector Garcia has impeccable timing in the ring. I agree, Will. He's got some very good skills. But again, power counts, especially when you're moving up 2 weight classes. And that's why I'm going with my prediction is I think he's going to give Tank Davis the business, but then eventually the power might be too much. Brown Gun, shout out to Brown Gun, says he needs to fight like a Nokia phone and not crack under pressure. That's absolutely. Gonzalo just laid out a fantastic game plan. And if Gonzalo knows it, I'm pretty sure the Garcia's team knows it. They're smart in there too. He's got some smart cookies in there, the way he fights. But it's one thing to plan it out and it's another to pull it off. Never Sober says, I don't think Tank's power is going to bail him out this time. Oh, all right, we're getting some predictions here. The Canman says Garcia is going to need to go for blood and kill Tank in the ring for all women. Yeah, that whole thing, man, that whole domestic abuse thing. What a soap opera that's been for the last couple of days. Bucho says Gonzalo looking at his crystal ball. Listen, Gonzalo's prepping up that crystal ball for 2023, man. Don't sleep on it. He's had some good results ever since he's been on the show. Bray says, I feel he's really slow, no fast twitch at all. Actually, Gonzalo, that brings up a good point here about Luis Garcia's speed. Because he's got 16 fights, 10 knockouts. He can crack. And good timing, too. He dropped Chris Colbert. But that was the way he dropped Chris Colbert was because Chris Colbert was jumping in. I tend to... How would you qualify Garcia's power? Yeah, I didn't realize he had that much power until you told me last time. So he does have a lot of knockouts. His power, he throws a lot of punches, so it has to do a little bit with attrition and deceptive, like sneaky uppercuts. Uppercuts that you don't see coming, so they're gonna hurt you. They're gonna hurt you. Maybe not with the first one, but after catching so many and you not seeing them coming, like they're sneaky. It's like deceptive power. Deceptive power, he wears you down, then he catches you with a shot that you don't see coming when you're not necessarily like bracing your body, and then he doesn't get tired, but you do. So I would say it's like that wear you down type of power. Definitely not no one punch knock you out type of power. He's not explosive. He's like he just got a good gas tank and he wears you down. Well, there you go, man. I also wanted to bring something up before we move on to another subject here. Supposedly, I don't know if you guys have heard, or you, Gonzalo, as well, but Devin Haney, out of nowhere, came out and said that he'd sparred Hector Luis Garcia for the Jojo Diaz fight, and that they had to send him home because he just couldn't keep up with him. That's how good Haney sees himself, that nobody can keep up with him. And then Hector Luis Garcia said, I don't know what he's talking about. That never happened. So then somebody, I don't know if it was a Haney's, released a 30-second clip, an edited clip at that. And it shows a competitive sparring session from 30 seconds. So I don't know what the heck they were thinking about there, Gonzalo. I think it just... but the way I looked at it is Garcia was doing just as well as Haney there in the 30-second clip. So the guy's good. The guy's a good mechanic in there. Or as Paulie Malignaggi would say, a good operator. Let's move on then to some of the other... Unless you got something else to say here, Gonzalo, about this fight. You tell me, man. All right, let's move on then to the undercard then. We've got Jaron Ennis taking on Karen, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce the last name, for the IBF interim welterweight title. Now, I've seen this Karen guy fight, and I tell you, I am not impressed. I am unimpressed. He seems like a guy that... He's like a Zedemata. Remember that guy that Golovkin fought? No world-class power, no world-class skill. He's well-schooled. He's from Eastern Europe. You expect guys like that to be well-schooled. But other than that, there's not much going on. Steven Espinoza came out and said, this is a strategic move. This is smart because it's for IBF Eliminator. Yeah, okay, it might be an IBF eliminator, it might be WBO eliminator, whatever title. These titles are more or less worthless, especially when you're fighting a guy like this for a shot at the title. It just seems to me like this is the best they could get, so I'm not impressed by this. And hopefully, the best Jaron Ennis can do is to wipe the floor with him in less than a round. Because anything other than that is going to be disappointing. Gazal, what do you think? Am I being too harsh here? And by the way, I mentioned Steven Espinosa.
You little weasel!
I mean, I'm not saying that. That's not what I said, but that was...
You fucking weasel! If there's ever a man that looks like a weasel...
Oh, wait a minute. Come on now. That's enough. Gonzalo, are you there? All right. Listen. Jaron Ennis, I like the fact that he's explosive. I like the fact that he knocks people out. There's way too much overhyping going on right now, where he hasn't fought anybody of note. And listen, like I said, I understand knockouts, especially of the first round variety, they tend to get people pretty excited. But I'm looking at him the same way I looked at Naoya Inoue. I like the fact that he's knocking people out, but I want to see what happens when he can knock somebody out. How good is his gas tank? How good is his defense? Can he take a punch? With Naoya Inoue, I was pleasantly surprised. And when he fought Donaire and went 12 rounds with him and showed us what I wanted to see, he showed that he had a chin. He showed that it was more than just power, that he had skills, heart, and the ability to outbox people. That's what I want to see from Jaron Ennis. And I don't think this Karen guy is going to give us any proper questions and answers. That's just the way I'm looking at it. Gonzalo, are you back? Oh, we get the Jim Marino jumping in as well. But Gonzalo, yes, I just wanted to ask you real quick before we get to Jimmy. I mean, well, not real quick, but take your time. But am I being too harsh on Jaron Ennis? What do you think about him? What do you want to see on Saturday?
Yeah, I've heard the name, the Karen guy. It sounds kind of funny too, because they always keep talking about the Karens. No, I don't know, man. It's probably, it's one of those things that. No, the guy's definitely good, but he's undermatched. The opponents he's facing are not on the level of this guy. They're smaller. They're unheralded. It's safe to say that the guy's good, but we want to see him with better opposition for sure. And as long as we don't get those fights, the interest is not going to be really there because, although he might knock out these guys spectacularly, I'm in it to see this guy fighting better competition, like the one that Virgil Ortiz is facing, Stanionis, those type of guys, for like that type of caliber opponents. Until then, I'm not really interested.
Absolutely. That's well said. Look, we know if you put him in there against older guys, he's going to knock him out. We know that if you put them in there against unheralded opposition, like this Ramata guy who's from Eastern Europe and has never fought anybody of note and doesn't have any world-class speed or power, we know he's going to wipe the floor with him. Now put him in there with somebody that's got some firepower. Put him in there against a guy that's got some world-class speed, something that's going to make him work. That's all I ask for. Will, the Degenerate Boxing fan, shout out to him for his contribution with the super chat. He says, when you see talent like Butz kicking cans in the prime of his career is really depressing to his fans. Also, Ring IQ calls him Karen Pikachu. I mean, the name, it's bad for marketing here. He could easily change his name, by the way. Or the PBC could have changed his name. Called him the devil or something. That would have been at least a little intimidating. Or maybe some sort of satanic sounding name, like Anton LaVey, like, or Anton Crowley or something. Shout out to Official Scorecard. He says, Mr. BDA, is it true that Ennis should be destroying... He says, it's true that he should be destroying low-level opposition. At the same time, with him fighting only 4 minutes, he may need rounds. That's a good point. He'll need to shake the rust off here. No doubt about it. All right, we got the Jim Marino jumping by. Jimmy, good to talk to you, man.
What's going on, brother?
It's been a while, man. But good to have you back on board. While. But good to have you back on board, man.
I might not be coming on as good. I'm on the way home right now.
Come on.
About, 5 minutes.
I don't want to hear excuses.
I don't want to hear excuses. But you know what? A little warm up. Listen, that Boots Ennis fight's a fucking joke. Like a joke. No, like a fucking joke. I mean, Boots Ennis, I've been screaming about this kid's talent for years, like his natural talent. It's been like 3 years now we've been carrying on. He's got almost 30 professional boxing matches, and we still don't know if he can catch. I mean, I've heard through the grapevine that even in sparring he can take a good shot. I mean, he's obviously God-gifted. It's just that the thing is this, bro. He's not going to be Heyman's first priority. because he's not signed to F. Remember, he's under the Showtime umbrella, which limits him to fighting PBC guys, but he's not Al's guy.
There you go.
So how hard is, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and this dude, Karen, like, especially coming off that last dude that he wiped out in 4 minutes, now you're coming back against a dude named Karen. Like, could you have made it any worse? Right? Get a guy named Karen. Like, it's just a fucking joke. And Hector Garcia, listen, by far his best opponent, but there's always an asterisk. Right? There's always something. Fuck this guy. And again, he's not just coming up one weight class. He's only fought at 130 twice. So 80% of his fights, or 85% of his fights, have been at 130 or lower. You know what I'm saying? So he's just always it's never straightforward. If this kid was 135, a career 135 pounder, he's, I think, a better boxer. Again, it's just, I mean, I'd love to see him fucking put Davis away. The last bullshit with his girlfriend smearing. Can I just say, too, because I haven't even talked about that. Why would she smear shit on her daughter's toothbrush? Okay? Like, what mother does that? Because he was holding all three of the toothbrushes, including a little pink kid brush with shit on it. Like, really? That's what you do with your fecal matter? So then she comes out with, oh, well, I didn't. I recanted. And everybody, of course, like, oh, how do you like me now, man? I recant. He recanted, so it was a lie. Okay, but so doesn't 80% of all domestic violence people. No matter how severe they get a beating, 80% recant. Regardless, so that's your thing, dude. So basically, you humiliated yourself to such a degree. You posted pictures with feces smeared all over your bathroom with your kid's toothbrush. All right, off a fucking Instagram bimbo who's angry because you didn't let her use her car. So she made up a story that you beat her and she was feared for her life. Is that what that's what you want us to believe? That? No, man, I'm innocent. I'm just dumping loads and fucking chicks that you shouldn't even fucking give your real fucking last name to. Let's be honest. So he's a knucklehead. And they tiptoed around, you know. So I'm just so over him. I'd like to see him get starched. Every bit of my fiber, I'd like to see him get starched. But it's just a big ask for a kid who's being dragged up. But he's got a lot of shit on his plate right now. Let me think about, I'm not going to make my prediction until I get to the house. But, all right, I'm done with that, brother. So I'll let you carry on.
Hey, Jimmy, he's got a lot of
shit. He's got a lot of shit on his plate and on his toothbrush too, huh?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say,
Exactly.
man. I mean, yeah. Why this guy? I don't even think that's the girlfriend's shit. I think that he stuck that toothbrush up his ass for because I think it was a preemptive strike to say, look what you did to me first, or something like that. All I'll say about that whole drama. All I'll say about that is this.
So why would a guy write slut? Like what girl calls it? What is a cheater slut? That sounds like something a guy would write.
Exactly.
Right? Cheater slut, I guess. I don't know. But he smeared that across. And first off, what makes me think it wasn't Davis because it was spelt right. So
no,
he was being honest. Come on, dude. The kid can't string together a fucking legible sentence. He wasn't lying when he said that.
Listen, I'll say this, man, about that whole ordeal. And about his fans, Tank Davis fans, because it seems the more he gets in trouble, the more they love him. That's the type of people that that look up to him. I'll say this: a lot of people, those guys on Twitter, a lot of these people, and when I say people, of course, I'm talking about the ghetto ass nimrods. They were like, "No, man, you gotta give him the benefit of the doubt, innocent until proven guilty, and all that spiel." They don't do that with Tyson Fury. With Tyson Fury, they go, "Well, look, there's a precedent for him doing drugs, therefore he's cheating." But with Tank Davis, let's forget about all the precedents about him assaulting his girlfriend in public. Let's forget about him running into a pregnant woman and running away while she's begging for help. No. Let's ignore all of that and give him the benefit of the doubt. That's hypocrisy at its worst, and that is black privilege right there. But anyway, back to the... Oh, yeah, and by the way, Gonzalo brought up a great point to the Garcia fight there, Jimmy, because we were talking about that, about how he's a good fighter, but he's jumping up weight classes to fight one of the biggest punchers in the lightweight division. And Gonzalo brought up the great comparison. This is the like the Leo Santa Cruz fight. A good fighter, well-seasoned, but fighting way out of his depth in those type of weight classes. I will say this, though. At least Tank Davis is knocking these smaller guys out. It's not like Errol Spence when he fights smaller guys and he goes 12 rounds with them, and then he makes up excuses about how I could have trained harder, but I was too busy, getting wasted and hammered and running, crashing my car. So at least I'll give Tank Davis points for that. But all right, so we're talking about Jaron Ennis here. Yeah, who cares about that fight? He's gotta wipe the floor with this guy, man. And if he wants to get a couple of rounds in there to shake the rust off, okay, that's fine. But he's really got to impress, man, against this level of opposition. The other thing I wanted to talk about was Rashidi Ellis taking on Royman Villa from Venezuela. And I got to tell you something about these Venezuelan fighters. Just like the Colombians, you'd be hard-pressed to name a great Venezuelan or Colombian fighter. There's been a couple of good contenders from Colombia, but never one that you say, okay, this guy's a Hall of Famer. I don't know what it is, but one thing that they constantly produce, these cocaine-snorting motherfuckers, hard punchers. Venezuela and Colombia, fucking hard punchers. They just can't, I don't know, the skills and the consistency doesn't match up. But this Villa guy, I was watching him fight, man. There's a couple of fights of him on YouTube. He reminds me a little bit of Marcos Maidana. He cracks hard and he lets his hands go. Rashidi Ellis, quick, perhaps one of the quickest fighters in the welterweight division. But what do you guys think? I mean, have you guys seen a little bit of this Villa guy?
Just very
I haven't
little.
seen the highlights. Sorry, GB.
Oh, no, I was
doing,
going to say
brother?
I saw very little, but I think the problem with a lot of the Venezuelan and Colombian guys, it's lack of good sparring.
That's a good point, man.
Yeah, you should outclass him. But they do.
Yeah, no.
Gonzalo.
Yeah, no, same thing. Well, I haven't seen any of his sparring, so I'm gonna go and check some of his highlights out. Kind of excited with what you mentioned. Similar to Marcos Maidana, he packs a punch, he lets his hands go. Hey, that alone, and if he got good stamina, that alone would give any fighter a good fight. They say that 70% of a fight consists on if you have greater stamina than your opponent. Hey, you're gonna be a live dog in there, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be better than him. If you got better stamina than your opponent, hey, you're gonna make it competitive, and you could beat that guy too. You could definitely defeat your opponent if you got better stamina than him. So if this guy naturally got good stamina, and you said it too. Hector Garcia got good stamina too, so yeah, I'm interested to see those type of fights. And if the guy can crack, the Roman Villa guy, yeah, that'll be an exciting fight.
Absolutely.
And speaking about sparring, I just want to weigh in on, I despise this latest trend of fighters trying to out each other or releasing sparring fucking video. Like, you're not even supposed to talk about it like that. You don't bring that shit up. Like, all of a sudden, I don't know, it's part of the whole Twitter beef. Everybody's looking to bury somebody. But I just think that's low-rent releasing, because you can make anybody look bad if you piece together or grab the right clip, Just ridiculous. Because remember, he's in there to benefit Haney when he's sparring him. He's not in there trying to knock him out or stop him. People think they're just throwing, trying to whale each other up, trying to get good solid rounds. So, yeah. And again, like you said, I saw the clip. It didn't show what he claimed it showed. That's not surprising. But, yeah, that's all I got on that.
No, we talked about that earlier, Jimmy, and yeah, it was weird, man. I still don't understand what the point of releasing that footage was, because it certainly didn't show Haney having his way with Garcia, and then on top of that, it was a 30-second clip. I mean, it was weird, man. It was weird, but that's how they do it nowadays. This like you said, these young fighters with the YouTube and Twitter and Instagram generation, they just post everything. They wouldn't be surprised. I'm actually surprised that Tank Davis didn't post a video of him grabbing the shit toothpaste and smearing it on his toothbrush, whatever. Because, I mean, again, they document everything. Why not document that with a video? The other thing I wanted to say was, so Rashidi Ellis, if he wins this fight, he's doing it on a pay-per-view card. And then again, it's a pay-per-view card that I don't expect to get too many numbers, though. But it would certainly make the welterweight division even more interesting with another undefeated quick fighter in there, flashy fighter in the mix. Hopefully these guys fight each other, because Errol Spence and Crawford have certainly held up the division. Let's move on now then, because we're getting near the time to open up the phone lines. Another fight on this undercard is Demetrius Andrade taking on Demond Nicholson, who, like I said before in the beginning of the podcast, he's the guy that his claim to fame is that he's the first guy that took Berlanga the distance. Demetrius Andrade recently came out and said that John Ryder is going to be another easy opponent for Saul Canelo Alvarez. Can you imagine what Demond Nicholson would be for him then? What do you guys think about this fight?
Yeah, I mean, the guy made it to the final bell, but didn't he get dropped like 7 times in the process? Almost got stopped. That doesn't mean that what's this guy's name? Freaking Demetrius Andrade is going to knock him down, or that it really matters. He's still going to outbox Demond Nicholson, or however you pronounce his name. He's still going to outbox him, but the dude's strong enough. And I say that even though he got dropped 7 times. I mean, he scraped himself off the canvas. So I think he's strong enough to deal with Andrade and give him some tough rounds. We saw what happened when Andrade fought that English dude, the Smith guy. I forget his first name. But anyways, the guy's fucking Andrade's overrated. And another thing, let's say he's not overrated. He's pretty good, but I think he's kind of like on the downslide. He's getting older. He hasn't really tested himself. So instead of being a fighter that becomes better with time, his career's kind of like in limbo. I'm not going to say he's he's damaged goods or that he's on the downslide because he's taking a lot of punishment. No, he just basically hasn't progressed because he hasn't tested himself. So he lacks the confidence, I think. And we saw when he faced that English dude. Every time that English dude started coming in a straight line, in fucking cracking him, this dude was looking like, hey, what the hell's going on? He was wary. And he didn't really want to exchange.
I mean, he was weary because the guy had a good right hand, but that's all he had. And even then, he spent the latter 6 rounds. Listen, Demetrius Andrade, he's got good power. But it fades away after 6 rounds. And then he just spends, if he's still in control, he'll spend his time dancing and winging wild left hands, sloppy left hands. And if he's not in control, he'll spend his time running and clinching. So this Demond Nicholson guy, I don't know if he's going to be able to give him a good fight. Like Gonzalo said, he's certainly durable. I mean, he got off from the Berlanga knockdowns. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Jimmy, what do you think? What do you expect from Andrade against Demond Nicholson?
Just continuing his shockingly levels of unawareness. It's like, how could you say that? How could you actually have the fucking stones to talk about who Canelo's fighting? You know what I mean? Like, what? Dude, you've been in a fucking around for what, a decade? And what's your best opponent? What's your best win, guy? How dare you talk about who the fuck Canelo's fighting? Ryder would probably be... Oh, that's right. He ducked Ryder, didn't he?
No.
Fucking clown. Like, just... I was. Dude, listen, he's a local dude. He's a kid from Rhode Island, stayed below us. You know what I'm saying? He was the amateurs, man. I was high on that kid coming out of the amateurs. So much hype behind him. Just one stupid fucking business decision after another. And he is where he is now. And for him just to even open his mouth, it's like, dude, you have any self-awareness? Like, any? You're calling the guy basically a bum that you ducked. And if I'm not mistaken, was it him or it was somebody on his level that Andrade just turned the money down? You know, straight ducked the fucking dude because the money wasn't right. But, yeah, it is what it is. It's another fucking joke fight. Turned down. He didn't fight at all in 2021, right? Or 2022? Not even once, you know, because no money's better than 800,000, I guess, or whatever. It's just now he's going to be fighting a fucking. He's the third guy. He's the third fight in, or the third to last fight in an undercard on a pay-per-view.
I mean, listen, this guy, he's with the PBC. Then he's with who was he with before? Golden Boy, or Top or
he was with Rock Nation.
Rock Nation, then the PBC, then he's with Matchroom. Now he's back with the PBC. It's like, all right, man, could you pick a fucking promotional? And you know what? In part, it's because of his style too. He just doesn't entertain. So listen, at this point, it's like I said, I hate wasted talent because the guy is talented, even though he's not all that entertaining, but he's a talented. But to me, he was just like, look, he's like American Panamanian version of Billy Joe Saunders. A little different. I think Billy Joe has a better jab. I think this guy has a better cross than Billy Joe Saunders. But he's not, I mean, all this thing about, well, he would have beaten Canelo. I don't think so. We already saw that against Billy Joe Saunders. Been there, done that. So we'll see what happens. This is a 168-pound fight, by the way, I believe. Right? Yeah, super middleweight against Demond Nicholson. All right. We're going to be opening up the phone lines. And as I do that, I still obviously want to continue talking about some of these things. Guys, if you want to call in, and give us your thoughts on the fight this Saturday, the prediction for the main event, or about any other the other fights going on there, we'll certainly be able to do that. I also got a couple of other topics here that we can talk about while we open up the phone lines. Something that's not even related to boxing necessarily, and I want to get your opinion on that. But hold on a second. Let me just open up the phone lines here. Remember, guys, when you call in, concise, precise, and really to the point, because there will be other callers as well. But don't rush either. Don't feel like, everything's going haywire. Shout out to Senpai Leo for extending his BDM membership program. He says, Andre Dog the guy Ryder beat Parker. Okay, yeah, so he ducked. Did he duck Ryder as well? Because I know he ducked Parker. But did he duck Ryder?
Yeah, it was Parker. Yeah, no, he's right. It was
Parker. Okay.
I thought he ducked Ryder too, but I mean, he ducked Parker. Same thing, right? Isn't it just?
Well,
he ducked Parker, but then Parker fought Ryder, and Ryder probably got the golden ticket to fight Canelo. What fucking Demetrius Andrade's been wanting. So if he would have beat Ryder, if he would have beat Parker, who looked like an easy dude to beat. He would have got that he would have been in place to fight Canelo, but he didn't. Ryder got that golden ticket.
And by the way, now that he's at 168 and he was with the PBC, what would the plan be for him at 168? The winner of Kelly Plant Benavides, or like one of the Charlos? I don't understand.
Yeah, he wants Charlo. He wants Charlo, but it's the same thing. Charlo's a 60-pounder. Charlo would have to move up too. And when they asked him, I heard it on the Boxing Voice. Motherfucker had no way out of explaining why he was been ducking Johnny Beck, but he basically said because it makes more business sense because Charlo's the more popular guy.
Interesting, very interesting. I tell you, we get to the bottom of things here.
Yeah, but the fight isn't made. You know what I mean? With the Charlo, he's not in the same. So yeah, it was just I saw that same thing in the Boxing Voice. Yeah, what could he say? It wasn't 100% busy. He didn't like the money for the risk.
I wanna. While we wait for the phone calls, phone lines are open, fellas. So if you want to call in, give us your thoughts on this, like I said, some of the fights or whatever's going on in boxing right now, because we're also going to get into some of the other things that are happening beyond this Saturday. But I want to start off with Jimmy on this one. Jimmy, and this is not related to boxing, but I can connect it to that because we just had the Tank Davis drama with him. Allegations that he by the way, closed fist slap. That's what they were calling it. Closed fist slap. What the hell is a closed fist slap? In any event, now we've got your old acquaintance, Jimmy.
I used to call him a punch.
Right, exactly. But now we've got your old acquaintance, Jimmy. Jimmy, we got your old acquaintance, Dana White, getting into trouble as well. I don't know if you can see the video here. I'm sharing the screen. But he was over in Mexico. Why did he have to do it in Mexico? In my country of origin, I mean, giving us a bad name. But he was with his wife, and we'll just check out what happened here. Mute the music there. But yeah, there you see getting into some sort of like a little slap fight. I don't know if he was sparring with her or if they were playing around. He did apologize, so I guess they weren't playing around. Jimmy, what happened with your old friend there, Dana White, whom you've heard about and known about from the old Massachusetts days?
Well, I'll tell you right now, man, I think he's like fucking 6-0 against bitches.
Dog.
I didn't even see him come about just being straight up, man. Slap the shit out of that bitch. It's just so hilarious, too, because wasn't he just running his mouth about Gervonta Davis fight being able to happen on Showtime or something? But that's why, listen, you never condemn dudes if you're one of those type of dudes to do that. But then again, who knows? Like, I mean, it wasn't like you haul back and crapped it. It was more of an attention getter, not justifying the level of slapping your woman. But that wasn't like put her lights out slap. That was like a fucking more of an attention getter. Even still, it's not a good look when you're worth hundreds of millions of dollars and your reputation. If I put it this way, if he isn't secure at Zenfa Promotions, if he didn't really run the show over there the way he does, they had to blast him for that. I mean, what corporation would keep him on board getting caught in Mexico, giving your fucking woman a bitch slap?
That's right. That's a good point, man.
Crazy, man.
And you know what? My thing is this: if you're gonna slap a woman, at least make it theatrical. What I would do is, especially if I'm out in public, I'm gonna put on the show. You know me. I pin her against the wall with one hand, load up on the other one, and then I slap her with the back of the hand on the chest. You know, like they do in wrestling, where they pin the guy on the corner and then they load up and then wham. That's what I would do. Like, give people a show. Because look, again, let's replay this. I'm telling you, this was a bad slap.
I would have dumped a bunch. I would have gave it a whole fucking talcum powder, filled up the hand full of talcum powder. Smack! Give a big dust cloud after.
Yeah, because look at this. It looks like it's a girl slapping that.
Well, you can tell he's holding back. It's like one of those half slaps, like a smack, like you smack a chick's ass type of slap. He's definitely trying not to leave a mark. Basically.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't try to beat her up with a bag of oranges or something. I'm pretty sure maybe that's what he did. But that's, somebody else mentioned something too as well. He said, look, if she's acting that way in public, drunk or not, how does she act in private? And I said, good point. Very good point. I mean, I gotta tell you.
She's probably a fucking nasty bitch. Let's be honest.
You think she fucks like a champ?
Oh, yeah, of course. He wouldn't have married her if she didn't. Oh, yeah, man. You kidding me? I mean, he banged every fucking ring girl they had there. All the fucking, no doubt about it. He was always in Vegas and shit, hanging out the post. Oh, yeah. Guarantee she fucking, he hits it like a gutter tramp. Big time.
Bucho in the chat says, maybe UFC ring card girls will come out. I don't know, man. I don't know if they're gonna come out for looking for a payday. Like you said, Jimmy said, the fact that nothing's been said about him being fired, suspended, or nothing. It's just, I think this guy's got his position solidified, and he might walk away from this scot-free. We get a phone call here. Let's go to a phone call here. 323. Hold on a second. Let me make sure that we can hear him. 323. You're on the air. 323. What's on your mind?
Hey, fellas. Don Madrazos here. How's it going? Thanks for having me on the chat on New Year. I think it was the end of the year. I don't know. It sounded like mayhem at one point, but it was pretty cool. Anyway, I wanted to just say, in regards to Andrade, man, I think the writing is on the wall. So he's with the PBC, and I think they're just putting him out to pasture. And we're going to maybe see more of him on some undercards. If he hasn't gotten a hold of his career yet, and he hasn't taken his career by the balls yet, he's never going to do it. We're going to see him on the undercard of other bullshit fights, and, he's going to end up just like Charlo, just like the rest of them, in his 30s, no major fights. I don't know if he gets a belt, maybe. I doubt he'll get a belt at 168. He's not gonna challenge anybody. He's not in line to fight anyone. And I think that's what's going to happen to Ennis if he stays with the PBC and Al Heyman. I think he's going to end up just like Charlo. One day we're going to be talking about how good that guy was, and we're going to be sick of hearing about him, just like we're sick of hearing about Charlo and Andrade. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I writing on the wall.
That is a scary prediction, man. I mean, it should be terrifying. It's scary for a fan. It should be terrifying for a fighter to end up. They should put Demetrius Andrade and Jermell Charlo and all that. They should make a film about them as how they do that. Stay in school and don't do drugs. They should do the same thing for younger fighters with Demetrius Andrade and Charlo.
Yeah, no, they should have a DARE program for the PBC. Like, kids, stay away from Al Heyman. It's a career killer. Fuck, you're committing career suicide here. And it's true because I remember 4 years ago, everyone being high on the Charlos, everyone talking about, I remember there was an interview with the Charlos and they were saying, hey, Cinnamon, where are you? You know, calling out Canelo before he fought Triple G for the first time. And you know, fast forward 5 years later, we're in the same fucking boat with these guys. These guys have not moved 1 iota, 1 inch on the on any spectrum except for, well, I'm not talking about Jermell. I'm talking about Jermall. Because he's the one that's always been calling out Canelo, and his career has been stagnant, and I don't see it going anywhere. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen to Ennis, and that's really, really sad because it's happening to the little guy, the Cabbage Patch Kid right now, Davis. So. You know, I just don't see any of these guys getting anywhere if they stay with Al Heyman. At least when Andrade was with Eddie Hearn, he was getting fights and he was headlining fights. I would watch the Zone. Yeah, you'd watch. They weren't pay-per-view, but he was the headline on those fights. Now he's the third fight on an undercard for Gervonta Davis.
Yeah,
that's gotta suck, man. That's gotta sting.
It's very, very well said, man. Hey, you know what? Maybe he should, like when he stormed the Canelo post-fight press conference to get some publicity, maybe right now he should follow suit with all these other guys and maybe slap a woman or something. That'll get him some publicity. That'll get some eyes on him. Why not? I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying it's an idea.
Or steal money from a waitress or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Have his necklace stolen by a tranny in a club. All right, listen, man. Don Madrazos, thank you for your call, man, and Happy New Year. And we'll catch you in the next one. All right, man.
New Year, guys. Take care.
Take it easy, man. All right, that was on Madrazos. Good points, man. Good points from him. Shout out to Earl Stevens. Shout out to Earl for his contribution with the super chat. And he says, if Andrade and Jermall fight, the title of the biggest clown in boxing will be at stake. Oh, yeah, maybe they should fight with paint on and in the circus. Fuck the arena. Do it in a circus. Why not, man? And we'll see what happens there with that one, man. Shout out to Earl Stevens for his contribution with the super chat. Fellas, here's something else I wanted to ask you. Teofimo Lopez, he had a tough fight against Sandor Martin. Didn't look all that great. Now, Regis Prograis and Teofimo Lopez are talking about fighting each other. I think they realized that as far as big names and big money goes, this would generate a lot of interest with boxing fans. It would certainly generate a lot of banter between these two. And now we've got Teofimo Lopez Sr. coming out saying, we coming after Regis Prograis in April. So it looks like that fight could happen in April. But let me read you a couple of quotes here from Papa Sr. Lopez. He says, we want him. Sounds kind of suspect, but it is what it is. He says, we want him. We want him in April. We're coming after his ass. A lot of ass talking in there. My son is easy prey for Regis, so come and get it. We're going to beat the shit out of him every round. Then he said, my son is good with fighters that come to fight. We've made a decision, and we want that fight next. We already fought Pedro Campas, and we already fought Xander Martin. So then we don't need to fight for nothing else. Everybody wants to see my son's demise, he said. That means that we're special. When we've had a meeting with the ESPN staff, it didn't do too good. There was a lot of hate in the room. Even the judges have something to say about us. The hate is real, bro. Thank God we didn't have the same judges that we would have had for the Kambosos fight because we would have lost that fight. All right, first things first. Regis Prograis came out later on Twitter after this statement was made. He said, you're not fighting, your son's fighting. What's with this we crap? Usually you hear that from people, right? When they say, when they're talking about the NFL and, the Dallas Cowboys, we're going to beat them if you're from Dallas, right? And I understand that. But when Teofimo Lopez Sr., do you think he means that, like he really means he's in the ring there?
Of course, he wants to get his picture taken with the belts before his son. That guy's a knucklehead, man. I mean, fucking, first off, it's a pro bellum fight. He's a pro bellum fighter, Regis Prograis. And so it's not an easy fight to make because didn't Top Rank, what fighter just recently came out and said Bob didn't want to work with Pro Bellum because of the clandestine connection to the
Kinahan.
What's his name, Kinahan. So come on, give it a fucking rest. But is there anything new coming from Lopez? Yeah, his son will kill everybody. kill everybody. Fucking Usyk, better watch his mouth. My son will fucking fuck him up. Like, that's just, after a while, man, there's only so many times you can call for, cry wolf. I mean, just, yeah, you say that every year, he's going to destroy him. Fuck out. Goes, does another gagga, starts fucking geeking out, and fucking runs his mouth some more.
Yeah, man, it's always we. And when I heard that, I said, well, wait a minute. He's talking a lot. And he really does have a good ability to dismiss anything that goes wrong in his son's career. I mean, he's not even saying that he looked bad against Xander Martin. I mean, they're saying, well, I mean, okay, yeah, we could knock him out because he was running, which he wasn't, by the way. You want to watch running? Watch Guillermo Rigondeaux versus Casimero. That's running. This guy simply wasn't opening up that much, but he wasn't running. And now he's saying that they're going to walk through... well, actually, let me ask you this. Gonzalo, do you think the Prograis fight, there's a potential for Lopez to look better? Because, yes, it's true. At least Prograis is going to come forward a little bit more and open himself up a little bit more? Or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's explosive. He's explosive. Yeah, he's explosive. He's athletic. Yeah, he's got some explosivity. He can crack the chin thing. I don't know if all these times that he's hitting the canvas early is because he's out of position. I think that's the case. I mean, he did get off the canvas against Cambosos in the first round and went on to drop the guy, and he didn't get knocked out or anything. So, I mean, yeah, Regis Prograis hits hard. That's definitely a threat. He's going to be facing a guy that can really crack and can hit you to the body very hard, too. So, I mean, whether it's downstairs or upstairs, we're going to see Teofimo's how tough he is. We're going to see that tested. If he can hang in there with Regis Prograis, but definitely be an exciting fight because he can crack too. So he's fast as well, and they're going to exchange punches. I would favor Regis Prograis because for me, he's more tested. He's a tough guy. We know what you see is what you get. A guy that can take a punch, land a punch, got good boxing ability. So I mean, I would favor. There's hardly any questions that haven't been answered with Regis Prograis. With Teofimo, there's still some questions that need to be answered that haven't yet. So that's one of those things. But one thing I would have to say that they don't seem to be like scared. When they say they're actually going to go in there and fight a guy, they will. I mean, he hasn't been tested against the big names at 40 because obviously he just moved up to that division. But I don't think they're scared. And I kind of like Teofimo Senior's the energy. I mean, yeah, he does pair himself up with the son in regards to we. But if the dad's calling Regis Prograis out, the dad's going to be the guy that convinces Junior to take the fight.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with Gonzalo. I think fucking Prograis beats him too big, hits too hard.
But there's
I think it would be a bad matchup right now. I think he hasn't worked himself into 140 yet. See, that's the problem when you dub yourself, the best boxer, alive when you've had, under 20 fights. After that win, instead of using that Lomachenko victory as the stepping stone, he used it as the fucking pedestal. You know what I'm saying? And it's been nothing but a disaster ever since.
I mean, when it comes to that fight, we also have to talk about. I mean, the Prograis fight is that Prograis is he's a strong, mentally strong fighter. You saw he went toe to toe with Josh Taylor on the inside, which is where Josh Taylor likes to operate, and he went 12 rounds with the guy. In fact, in the 12th round, I actually think he got the better of Taylor, which is saying something because again they were fighting pretty hard in there throughout the 12 rounds. So I don't know if Lopez has that mentality, especially after the Sandor Martin fight. He asked, "Do I still have it?" And then he tried to save face by saying, "No, I said that because I knew the cameras were on me, and that's I'm just trying to." He's trying to pretend like he's Machiavelli or Sun Tzu or something. I don't know, man. Now, in regards to the comments that his father made, let's just reread what he said. He says, "Everybody wants to see my son's demise. That means we're special. I mean, your special needs, yeah, because you're acting that way. But here's the other thing, though. He seems to make it out to be as these people hate them for no reason. It's like, fucker, we saw you before the Lomachenko fight getting drunk, You go all there hammered in a 5-star hotel in the lobby, making a scene, going after Lomachenko and his team. And then afterwards, when asked why he did that, he goes, I don't know what happened. They just looked at me. And like he was imagining all these things in his head that these people were disrespecting him. Then he throws his promotional outfit, which got him that fight in the first place. He throws them under the bus. He's always complaining about the fans hate us. The fans hate us. Yeah, well, they hate you because you keep yapping. Then after the Kambosos fight, he makes it out to be as if everybody was against him. Eddie Hearn was against them. The commentators were against them. The Zone was against them. Eddie Hearn was against them. Just everybody. It's like, man, that makes people hate you even more. Am I out of touch here, fellas, or does he just not seem to get it?
No, of course you're not. No, he cries. He's a fucking professional athlete crying victim. It's just crazy. It's just part of the course, man. You see some of the most successful, privileged people in our society crying victims, so why not it happen in boxing, too? That's what it is. But, yeah, no, he's a knucklehead. Says dumb things. People don't like your son because of the shit that comes out of his mouth. His attacks at people, making it personal on Twitter and shit. Just, yeah, man, social media. Yeah, I mean, there's no rule book to teach these guys how to act, so it's better to just ignore it. Like, how many times you see Lomachenko and the Europeans, not just, mention Lomachenko, but the European guys just getting fucking Twitter wars, although they usually tweet in Ukrainian, but they just you don't get into that shit. Like, he should shut off now that it doesn't really matter, but I would have shut off anything that wasn't blue checked. Because why read it? I mean, does it really matter what fucking John Eat a Big Dick -77 with a Google picture on his Twitter account with 7 followers has to say? But it gets to him. You'll see him fucking go at somebody's got like fucking 18 followers. Not to say somebody just starting their Twitter page. I'm not shitting on having not a lot of followers. But like, you pick your time and place. But yeah, that's the problem. And he went after Bob Arum. He went after Top Rank. It was everybody's fault. And this, in general, people will always gravitate to someone who shows some sort of, I'm sorry, just humbleness. People want to see that. When you lose and you make every excuse under the sun except for what happened, that's just, people don't like it. It's not a good look. And, so when he says that, basically what he's saying, everybody wants to see my son get demise because I'm his father. Because if it wasn't him in his corner, I don't think a lot of this shit would be happening in his life.
I agree. I mean, listen, I also forgot to talk about, excuse me, super chat here. We're going to read a super chat. Shout out to Will, the degenerate boxing fan. He says, I think Theo versus Prograis is a great fight. Unlike Martin, Prograis is not hard to find in the ring, and Prograis is a boxer puncher to Theo's counter puncher. On paper, it's a great fight. Yeah, I mean, Prograis is... He is hard to find because he moves his head a lot, but I understand what you're saying in that he doesn't hold back like Xander Martin. And in fact, we talked about that before the Lopez fight. We said Xander Martin, he throws about 300 shots per fight, which is a low output for a guy at junior welterweight. So you're right, man. Prograis is going to let his hands go more. He's going to try to be a little bit more aggressive, and that's going to give the other counterpuncher, which is Teofimo Lopez, chances to counter. So I would like to see it, man. Hey, listen, I usually don't like trash talking, but it's when it's true. Two trash talkers like those two guys, I think that's going to provide some entertainment in the press conference. But back to what you were saying, Jimmy, about the Lopez's. I just want to go back to the other thing he said here. He says, everybody wants to see my son's demise. That means we're special. No, that doesn't mean you're special. That means you're pissing people off. And by the way, hate, I don't think people hate him. I think people dislike him. Most people reserve hate for... war criminals and people that go after children, stuff like that. So people just dislike you. So again, that's just.
I don't feel that way around either.
Yeah,
I don't hate anybody I don't know. I wouldn't waste that emotion on someone who doesn't affect my life. That's a strong word.
That's just more exaggeration from his side, which is again a common theme with the Lopez's. And then the other thing he said, which was when we had meetings with the ESPN staff, it didn't do too good. There was a lot of hate in the room. I wonder what that means. Like, again, because just real quick, when they asked him about why he went after the Lomachenkos in that hotel lobby, he said, they looked at me the wrong way. Or something like that, which is something that one of those crazy people in the bar says when they look for a fight. They're just looking for a reason to fight. That's the way it seems like to me. So did they really give him that attitude in the ESPN meeting that he referred to? Or did he imagine all of that?
And of course he imagined. Listen, he's a primal person. He's dumb. Let's just be honest. The long and short of it, It's dumb. They run off their emotions. It's primal. He remembers the first meetings at ESPN when he first sat down, and he was the exciting, explosive, undefeated fighter. They probably had, secretaries bringing the water, really ass-kissy. He just saw the mood was different, and he took that as a personal affront. I guarantee it. They weren't giving him shit. They just weren't probably up his ass like they were the first meeting. So to his small mind, that was, they've got it out for him too. So, yeah.
Well, it reminds me of what happened prior to the Kambosos fight, but that was over at the Zone. But they were interviewing one of the guys that was going to fight on the undercard. I think it was Fuzile, the African dude. And Lopez came in from what, according to reports, he came in and just started talking. Like, in other words, he just barged into the interview. And then he started talking about how the great thing about boxing is that you get to kill somebody illegally, and that's something he was interested in. And then he went 180 degrees and started almost crying, saying how he never feels like he's good enough. And then he switched back up to talking about how everybody's against him. So, like you said, Jimmy, both those guys, the father and the son, highly emotional. They're all over the place. I like watching Teofimo Lopez fight. I think he's a flashy guy. He can hit hard, even though sometimes he doesn't let his hands go enough. But against the Prograis fight, I would love to see that one. But look, you can't, people can't defend him and say, oh man, he's just putting on an act. Because then if you're defending him for putting on an act and saying, well, that's, people hate him because he's putting on an act, but then that's on him. And if it's an act, then maybe he should drop it because it ain't working. He's not getting that much. Here's the other thing that he said, the Lopez said, the hate is real, bro. Thank God we didn't have the same judges in the Martin fight as we did in the Kambosos fight, because then we would have lost that fight. So, again, he's just letting you know that if he loses another decision, he's going to blame the judges. Because that Kambosos fight, yeah, it was competitive, but he lost that fight. And the fact that he blamed everybody but God for his son losing that fight, it just goes to show you these people are out of touch, man. And it's a shame, because like I said, Teofimo Lopez, he's got a lot of ability. He's got a good chance to make some good money. Good money in the 140-point division. Hey, fellas, don't forget to hit the like. The phone lines are open, so call in. Give us your predictions on the fight Saturday and anything related to what we're talking about here. The other thing I wanted to talk about here was the aforementioned Devin Haney that you guys brought up in regards to his sparring against Hector Luis Garcia, who's going to be fighting this Saturday. This article from Boxing News 24, and again, it's really a blog. It's not a news site. It's not a professional news site. Lomachenko delaying fight until May hinders Haney's ability to make weight. Nowhere in this blog post does it mention anything about Lomachenko being the one who wants to push the fight until May. That's Top Rank, number one. Second, Haney's already complaining, and I don't have the quotes here, but he's been complaining about how Top Rank is against him. So we're seeing parallels to the Teofimo Lopez fight here. To the Lopez's, in that we have a father-son duo that loves to make it racial, they love to play victim, and they love to, make it seem as if everyone's against them. My thing is, maybe people wouldn't dislike you as much if you actually conducted yourself like decent human beings, and if you didn't clench as much during a fight. But anyway, it's interesting because what it says here in this blog post is that he wants, because again, for people that don't know, Haney is a Muslim, supposedly. I don't buy it, by the way. And that he wants to make the fight before March or in March or something like that, because it's going to be before Ramadan. And Ramadan, that's the Islamic holiday there where we can only eat when the sun is down. But here's my thing. I'm pretty sure Haney could circumvent all that, because people were mentioning that in the comment section. It's true. He claims to be a Muslim. He claims to be clean and pure, blah, blah. Meanwhile, he's hanging out with Instagram models, or as they call them, Instagram thoughts, right? And then, he's talking about, Ramadan is so important to me. Yeah, if your religion is that important to you, maybe you shouldn't, if as far as I know, maybe I'm wrong, Islam, homosexuality is a big no-no in Islam. Meanwhile, he's hanging out with an established homosexual, according to a lot of rumors, in P. Diddy. Look at him here in this pool. Why do you think, first of all, unless that pool has a lot of bleach on it, I wouldn't get in there with Puff Daddy. I wouldn't get in anywhere near Puff Daddy. Number one, you see Puff Daddy here with the finger and the fist. Now, what do you think that fist means in homosexual lore and nomenclature? What do you think that he's getting at there with the fist? And Haney's pointing at it with his finger. is he sort of indicating tacitly where that fist is going to be going? Listen, fellas, I hate to speculate, but maybe Haney should just say, listen, Ramadan, I'm pretty sure God forgives. He knows I had to feed my family. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. I just won't do it. Listen, in Islam, you can circumvent Ramadan under special conditions. So, guys, what do you think? What's this whole thing about Haney playing victim? You tell me, man.
Well, it comes down, like you said, how truthful he is about his religion. Because the Muslim religion is very conservative. Then it is what it is. It's just a very conservative religion. So if he's doing certain things that, I don't know, for lack of a better word, affront to that religion, then why wouldn't... What's that? Haram? Okay.
Yeah, that's what they call it. Yeah, haram.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I don't know. I surprised he's talking shit about Top Rank, because that's how they got that fucking fight. I remember DAZN wasn't willing to put up the money to send him over to Australia for Cambosa, so Bob did finance the whole thing, and they were so happy. And all of a sudden, they had couple of fights with him, and now he's trying to take advantage of him. Why? Because he's like, dude, you want the whole month off? No. If I get a date, no, you got to fight, dude. What are you saying? I don't know if that's the case, but like you said, I'm sure Allah will forgive him.
Allah forgives, man. I think. I mean, it's we've seen some of the followers do some violence and combined with some salty language. But look, he's saying now that he's not long for the 135-pound division, and he's saying that's why Top Rank wants to keep him in there as much as possible so that he can't make weight for the Loma fight, and it hinders him. I don't know, man. It's there's always this victimhood against black people. So if they have something against black people, then why are they pushing Shakur Stevenson so hard when he's one of the most boring fighters out there? I don't get it. It's the whole narrative falls apart pretty quickly, and I think Devin Haney should just concentrate instead of hanging around with P. Diddy and taking the fist and all that. I think he should focus on keeping his weight down. He looked like a pig when he went into the ring with Lomachenko. I mean, he looked like a fucking super middleweight in there compared to Loma. I think he should focus more on keeping that weight down, staying in the gym, not sparring all that much, because that can take time off your career, but just enough to maintain the weight. And I don't think this whole complaining and all that, I don't think that's good for the nerves. I don't think that's good for the stress. I think that actually puts weight on with the whole cortisol or whatever it's called. I think that actually puts weight on. So stay relaxed, chill out, take it easy, keep training. Everything's going to be all right. Don't blame Whitey for it. That just makes you look like a tramp. And that's why you're with P. Diddy for. All right. What else was I going to say here? Reverend Pickle says, where do you buy a toothbrush that's safe, BDA, just in case? Well, first of all, I'll tell you my little trick. When women are around, especially if, they start coming over to your place and start getting more familiar and all that, I leave a toothbrush out. Guess what? It ain't my toothbrush. It's a decoy. So I know if the bitch is doing something to it, I'm not going to be using that toothbrush. See, it's little tricks that you pick up with age. All right? And I'm giving them here free of charge, by the way. That's the type of guy I am. But that's something you do with women. Listen, hell had no fury like a woman scorned. It's a tale that's as old as time. And I think that's something that these guys need to learn. Little tricks, like I said, that you pick up. I run with the case, says Tank wipes his ass with a toothbrush. Oh, my goodness gracious. One hitter. Shout out to One Hitter. I haven't seen him in a while. Says Islam countries still employ free workers. Free workers. Yeah, that's a euphemism for slave. That's how it works over there. Bernard says, pretty sure he's fought before and during it. Yeah, I think he has too. Mr. Official Scorecard says Mr. BDA's dating IQ off the charts. Nah, it's just one trick amongst many. But no, I certainly am not an expert at this. Joseph says, did anyone see Thunderdome's expose on maggots in the weave? Oh, no, I think I heard about it, but that one of those thoughts had maggots on her weave or something? Is that what I understand? Please clarify for me. Man, yeah, I don't even want to. Excuse me. Kevin Kilgore
imagine living with that kind of chaos in your life. Seriously, you're at your home, in your sanctuary where you're supposed to be peaceful and just like oh my God, coming in, you've got shit smeared all over the bathroom and fuck. Like, seriously, like, dude, you dumped a fucking, you popped off in that? What are you thinking? Clearly you're not.
I mean, that's disgusting, man. It's like you said, very, very primal behavior. And I understand. Listen, women will get to you. That's what they do. They like to prick and prod, see what your weaknesses are. It's in their nature. It's not necessarily evil. It's just they want to shit test you to see if you can be, you know, Steve McQueen in there. And that's what they do. But you have to understand that if you don't, then you'll get pissed off, and then that's when you get shit smeared all over your mirror.
But like Mr. BDA, like you said, so many people online, all of a sudden when she came out and recanted, we're all like, oh, see, you owe him an apology. Wait a minute. So the dude who plowed into a car and a girl's crushed inside a car, bloody, tells him she's pregnant and got a baby at home I got to get home to. Please help me. That was her testimony.
Mm-hmm.
Please help me. She said, I looked him in his face and begged him for help. And he nonchalantly turned, gathered his things, and ran from the scene. Because he had some puppies he had to go light on fire. He didn't want to be late to, I guess.
Oh,
like, seriously. Like, no, what a fucking clown. Like, but, oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. So she recanted. So, yeah, he mustn't have done it. And didn't he threaten to shoot his ex-girlfriend, the other one, in the face? That was all over social media for a while. What else? He laid hands on his girlfriend in a public fucking. If you're willing to do that in front of hundreds of people at a basketball game, what are you going to do behind closed doors? So, just it's so ridiculous. But I guess it's like, nope, that didn't happen. No, they want us to go with the narrative that my mother of my child called the police and said I was trying to kill her because I wouldn't let her use my car. Okay, I would have stuck with the hitter. It sounds better, dude.
Yeah, and then the first wave of defenders was with the classic the whataboutisms. Well, if you didn't condemn Sergei Kovalev, I don't want to hear from you. Well, guess what? You're gonna hear from people, whether they condemn Kovalev or not. It doesn't excuse. It doesn't. It's like, you know what it is, Jimmy? It's magical thinking. They're thinking like little kids, where if you cover your eyes, then the bad man goes away. No, man. It's like whether Kovalev did or didn't do something doesn't change the fact that Tank Davis has a track record of criminal behavior and being having a short fuse, and people actually root for that guy. But like I said, they don't root for Lomachenko. Even though you've never heard Lomachenko do anything like this, you don't hear Lomachenko shit talking. No, they don't root for that guy. No, they'll root for Tank Davis. I wonder why. But what else was I going to ask you, man? Oh, we got a phone call. Let's go to 914 here. Don't forget, fellas, to call in. The phone number is right there in the middle left-hand portion of your screen. 914, you're on the air. 914, what's on your mind?
Hey, BDA, Bucho, Jimmy. What's the other guy's name? Jimmy? Did I say his name? Bucho? Gonzalo?
Absolutely.
What's up, buddy?
Guys, you know, Steven Espinoza is on Twitter saying it's a strategic move for him to get Jaron Ennis that interim title, right? And we'll go along with it because, yes, networks do pay more for, even if it's a regular interim, they do pay the fighter more once they have some type of jewelry around them, right? Okay. So if Jamal Charlo versus Demetrius Andrade gets made at 168 with no titles on the line, is this logic just a one-off with Jaron Ennis? Because they had the chance to unify at 160, a prestigious division, a historic division, and they had two of the four major world titles. Andrade had the WBO, Jamal had the prestigious WBC.
Jimmy, what do you think about that? You're more in touch with the whole titles and all that, and mandatories and who's who. And...
Yeah, no, that was Steven Espinoza's word salad, because Jaron already fought for a title eliminator, I think, for that belt. It's just him. And then he got angry. I think that's the same Twitter thread where he attacked Mike Montero, who didn't deserve it. Mike just made a obvious assessment. Oh, clearly you don't have the ability to critical thinking or something. Just some snooty, snarky remark that he's just, he'll say something, then you call him on it to either supply the evidence to what he's saying or rebuttal to your question. You never get it. You get the snarky one-off, and then he runs and hides. But we're talking about Fucking kid went to Stanford, one of the most privileged clowns around. They had a lawyer, Stanford graduate, who literally says he's a victim of white oppression. So,
listen,
Yeah,
Jimmy,
he
we understand Steven got a perfect score on his LSAT exams, but he doesn't know shit about boxing.
I mean, listen.
Okay? And for some reason, like, all this pent-up frustration that he has from being Al's lapdog, he takes it out on Twitter users. That's his outlet.
I think you're onto
It
something.
is what it is, guys. And another thing with these sparring stories, you know,
I think you're right.
it's the new thing. Like, you don't actually have to fight each other in the ring. We're going to talk about a sparring section that happened years ago. Right? Wasn't that the whole promotion when Keith Thurman was fighting Sean Porter? The whole promotion behind that fight was who got the best of who in sparring. Amir Khan and Kell Brook, I schooled them in sparring. These sparring stories, they never end. They just never end, do they?
You're bringing up an excellent point right there, man. Yeah, it's true. Now that the sparring now, like Jimmy said too, it all comes out now. I would listen. It sounds stupid, but man, I think some of these guys should bring some sort of a non-disclosure clause or something that to be signed and say, listen, you should, because it used to be. I remember we had a Canadian boxer here named Shaquille Finn, and shout out to him. And I didn't ask him to reveal any stories, but I just said, hey man, it's like I heard that Lemieux iced Jean Pascal a way back. You know, that type of shit happens. Huh? He goes, well, you know, I can't really talk about what happens in the ring because that's the way it used to be. What happened in sparring stays in sparring. What happens in the gym stays in the gym.
Yeah, but when you're only in the ring once or twice a year, you got to talk about, well, okay, I take that
Exactly,
back.
exactly.
When you're in the ring under the big lights once or twice a year, you got to talk about these little rings, you know, the wild card boxing gym, the Mayweather boxing gym, and what goes on in there, the doghouse.
Oof, oof. Yeah, it's stupid, by the way. That doghouse thing is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. Because, yeah, no time limits, whatever. Okay, so at the end, it just devolves into a clinch fest. But then again, that's what they love in the Mayweather gym. It's clinching and running and hitting in the balls and having the referee on your side. That's the way they do it. You know, don't hate the play, I hate the game. That's what they always tell you. But anyway, listen, caller, some excellent points, man. Anything else you want to say?
Last thing, BDA, last thing.
Sure.
One last thing. I never understood why, you know, like married couples, they have kids at home, they've been married for decades. Why would you go out to a club or a lounge where it's a bunch of teenagers, you know, college kids on break, you know, single people in their 20s? Like, well, what do you get out of that? Like, what do you get out of that? Why not just hang out with your family and friends? You got these huge mega mansions. You could host your own party at your house. Like, I don't know, bro. Am I crazy? Like, what did he get out of being there? I'm not condoning what he did. I'm just saying, like, what's with these clubs and lounges once you're in your 40s and your 50s?
That's a great point, man. That's an excellent point right there. It's some people never grow up, man. It's like that Tom Waits song. I don't want to grow up.
Anyway, guys, hope you have a happy and healthy 2023.
Right back at you, man. Right back at you. We're going to have some fun this year. I can guarantee you that. All right, well, listen, caller, thank you for your call. We'll catch you on the next one, right, man? Take it easy out there.
Take it easy.
Yeah, some great points there. And, you know, listen, I hate to harp on that whole thing, but fighters really need to get themselves a clean lifestyle because not for nothing, but that's what I've been harping on for the past year, too, that we are customers. We're paying for a result. Not a service, mind you. We're paying for a result. We want good fights, entertaining fights. And when I say entertaining, I'm not saying it has to be a slogfest. I'm just saying string a couple of combos together every once in a while, for Pete's sakes. And if these guys aren't taking care of themselves, in other words, if I have an employee and this guy's partying, slapping his girl around on the weekends, getting into fist fights, I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to hire this guy. So if I know that these guys are doing that, and let me finish, if they're getting into that and that's affecting their performance and their training, you bet your ass I'm not going to be interested in paying them and hiring them. Am I wrong here?
No, not at all. But am I not hearing somebody? I heard you say, "Let me finish."
No, I'm just because I
didn't hear anybody talk.
Because I was. Is
there somebody on there I don't hear?
No. I was just setting up a rant. I was just setting up. It was what do you call it?
Okay, brother. All right. No, okay. I didn't know. Sometimes I didn't hear. If I didn't hear, you know, maybe somebody else on the line is all. Okay, cool. Thanks for clearing that up. But no, you're not wrong at all. 100% on the money.
100%. That's coming from Jimmy. 100% on the money. Because, like I said, man, I'm tired of these people saying, well, if I get into a slugfest, who's gonna pay for my medical bills when I retire? Fucker, we're paying for them now. It's up to you to fucking save your money. I'm not your accountant. You want an accountant? I'll give you an accountant. I can set you up with some good people via my mentor and attorney, Rayful Shapiro. But it's not up to me to fucking fix your finances. I'm sorry.
Well, that's another thing. It's that whole, you see fighters nowadays, like just saying stupid shit. Like, nobody on Twitter will ever accomplish what I have in my life. It's like, dude, how do you know what these people on Twitter do for a living? Right? Mm-hmm. But then it could be more accomplished at their job than yours. Like, and dude, nobody put a gun to your head to be a boxer, you asshole. And these motherfuckers that you're so much better than, you better show some respect because it's them who support you, bro. Who do you think buys the tickets, the pay-per-views? Without these, the guys they shit on so regularly and readily, you wouldn't even have a career. So shut the fuck up.
And then you get the sycophants. I saw one comment on Twitter when one guy goes, just remember that when you're criticizing these guys, you're not even the best at your job. I'm thinking, how do you know? How do you know? So again, this is what I hate about some sections or portions of our culture where they shit on people who are hard workers. Like you got a plumber, by the way, for example, or he works hard. Without the plumber, where would you be? Could Kelly Plant fix his own pipes? You know what I'm saying? So they provide a fantastic service. Even a guy that people could look down on, for example. That's usually the people that like to kick down. For example, a guy who works as a construction worker or something. Hey, fuckos, these guys are doing a good job here in the West. Just look at fucking other places. I'm not gonna mention them, but third world countries where the whole fucking building falls apart because they don't know what they're doing, and they're cutting corners and blah blah blah. So respect everybody that's a hard worker. That's what I do. I don't think I'm better or below anybody unless they show really horrible behavior, like short fuses, punching women, going after children. Right.
A good thing that I was told, when I was young, I was always heard it repeat, man. Watch how you treat people on the way up because they're the same motherfuckers you're gonna see on the way down. Because nobody's ride lasts forever. You know what I mean? I told you the story about that dude I knew, the singer for Godsmack, Sally Erner. I mean, he was just a little fucking runt of a dude, was always that loud kid at the parties and just like wanted everybody to be his friend. And then he became famous. He was walking around at the strip club with sunglasses on with a t-shirt that said, "Do I know you?" Ooh. Literally on his t-shirt with an entourage, goons. Oh yeah. Went from like fucking wanting to be everybody's friend to like wearing t-shirts. But he admitted, later he's done interviews saying that he was an idiot. It got to him, a lot of those motherfuckers, it gets to their head and shit. So, but
Butcher in the chat says respect plumbers. I mean, I was just giving one example because people tend to look down on plumbers and handymen. I mean, I even anyway, I'm not getting into that. But yeah, man, listen, I respect boxers in the sense that I give him some respect for stepping in between the ropes and through the ring, through the ropes and into the ring. But that doesn't, it's not the be all end all. It's not like that excuses everything or that prevents them from being criticized. Look, they're performers too. And there's plenty of other people out there that you don't know if I've walked in between the ropes or through the ropes to a ring. I know Jimmy has, I know Gonzalo has, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I've done it myself. Yes, I haven't done it at the fucking championship level or even at the amateur championship level. But we're customers. And we expect certain things from people. And this excuse of, they're walking through the ropes, well, guess what? They're being paid good money that comes from us in a large degree, or to a large degree. And they expect us to just sit down and shut up. Sorry, man. This ain't no dictatorship. Everyone's got a voice. And if you can't handle it, get off Twitter. Like Jimmy said. But then again, these people love it too. They love the attention and they can't help it. I can't help it either, to a certain degree. Shout out to... Who else? Hold on. I think I missed a super chat here. From Medardo Garcia. Shout out to Medardo. Says, Gervonta Davis has been watching too many Dave Chappelle skits. What's the reference there? Is there a guy that was smearing shit in his mirror on Dave Chappelle? Or sorry, I don't get the reference, man. Somebody will bring it up. Don't worry about it, man.
I don't remember. Was there a Smack-a-Ho one maybe or something?
Maybe. Yeah, I've never really seen that show.
Was that
too much.
Yeah, was he...
Fuck off.
What the fuck was that, Jimmy?
Sorry. I thought it was mute. I thought I muted him. I had headphones on, dude, right?
Uh-huh.
Off. I'm walking by my cat, This Mancoon thing, he just jumps up and he rips the headphones right off my fucking body because they hang from a wire to my phone in my pocket. So I'm literally walking. He just clotheslined me, pulled the whole contraption off my head. The phone went flying out of my pocket. You doofus.
Yeah.
He's a fucking maniac.
I thought you were pulling a Dana White and going after your wife, man. I said, wait a minute, Jimmy, come on, man.
Oh, no way. She's got a pistol on her, dude.
Oh. By the way, let me just replay. Let me just replay. This is what I heard, man. I said, what the heck? You were turning into a gypsy boxing. Remember that? About 5 years ago when we started the show, and he's rummaging to his closet while he's on the air. Shit just falls on top of him. I was like, what the fuck is going on, man?
That was funny. I remember that.
That's a classic, man, for sure. Shout out to
PDA, Jimmy, one thing.
Go ahead, Gonzalo. Go ahead.
I was kind of confused because if a girl slaps you first, regardless if she's a girl, I mean, it could be a guy, but if somebody slaps you first, couldn't you just like slap her back if it's a girl, and you wouldn't get in trouble for it because she attacked you first?
Yeah, in the States, depending on most states, they'll arrest the person who swung first. The person who strikes first usually gets the ride. But I mean, what kind of man would fucking? Oh yeah, take my wife. She slapped me.
But if somebody attacked you first, man.
Oh yeah, but there's a difference, dude. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference. Like, say if you're out in public, Gonzalo, right? Like he was, and your little wife slapped you. You look around, right? You'd laugh, maybe grab her wrist and go, "What are you, nuts?" You know what I mean? Like, because a man is supposed to be able to take a woman's slap. Like, what are you doing? They're totally different story than if she comes knuckled up and fucking, swinging on you like a fucking man. That's a different story. But if a bitch slaps, gives you a slap, especially a woman that you love, you take the slap and you smile at her. That actually pisses him off even worse. I know that for a fact.
Oh, wait a minute.
Well, I don't know, man, because I think it's not so much about if it hurts you or not. It's just like the act of somebody slapping you. Oh, yeah, the embarrassment, the anger that it would provoke, the rise that it would get off of you, man. It's just like they attacked you first. I don't know about all that holding back, man. If it's a woman or a guy, somebody attacks me first, man.
Yeah, it's all in the language, attack and slap, right? Isn't there kind of a difference? If your wife, for instance, your significant other slaps you, gives you a slap, are you gonna haul off and break her jaw, or you're gonna laugh at her? But if a woman attacks you, comes at you, her fist closed, sawmilling, yeah, that's a different story. Then you have to defend yourself. But
yeah, but I mean,
it's not a good look in public if a woman slaps you and you go, because I mean, I've seen it firsthand. Like, I've seen dudes take beatings from people because they swung back. Depending, like, if a girl's, like you said, coming swinging with closed fists, then you got to defend yourself. But if a woman slaps you and then you go fucking tossing her or beating, usually guys are going to be like, dude, what the fuck you doing, man? You know what I mean? Taking on the ladies? Like, there's degrees, and especially if it's your woman. You put your hands on your woman, man, you better have a damn good reason. It better be more than a slap. Because I've had many girlfriends give me a slap because of shit I've done, cheated, done something stupid. And I'm telling you, you want to fucking send them through the roof? Smile at them after they do it. Give them a smirk like, what are you doing?
Listen, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, if your girl slaps just because she's testing you, and if you take it, like one here says, she only gets bolder. So that's why listen, if she slaps me, I'm not even slapping her back. I'm giving her the contraption. And I can't even talk about that too much here on the air. That's X-rated. But I think you guys get the picture. And sometimes I think they're slapping me because they want to get on the contraption. I don't know. It's a fun little toy. I'll tell you that much right now. All right, let's go to
okay, BDA. Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
All right, yeah. Because it's an interesting subject, dude. That's more of a second Renaissance subject. Like, where do we draw the line?
I agree with Gonzalo. If a bitch you don't know swings on you, a stranger, then fuck that. You don't let anybody you don't know swing on you.
Absolutely.
Because you don't know what's coming next.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. Common sense.
That I totally agree with.
Well, let's go to another phone call here. Don't forget to hit the like. All right? Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And hit the like. I can't say it enough. Let's go to 606. 606, you're on the air. 606. What's on your mind?
Is that me, BDA?
That's you, yes, 606.
Hey, how you guys doing, man? Great show.
Thank you, man.
what I was going to talk on is Hector Garcia. He got dropped by a southpaw that wasn't nowhere, with the power that Tank's carrying. And, I guess, where's he from? The Dominican? Is that where he's from?
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, it seems like everybody that comes from Cuba and down there is southpaw. So he's got a lot of practice at it, and, a lot of rounds of southpaws. But I think, he's going to be the slickest boxer, I believe, Tank fought. I don't think Barrios is, he's not, I don't know. I never really thought much of Barrios. He was just big and long, and that's what caused Tank to have to think a little bit. But other than that, it's going to be, Hector's probably going to be pretty fast against Tank. And, I think it'll end like everybody else thinks, he's going to fill him out a couple rounds and he's going to knock him out, and that'll be the end of it. But, another thing I was going to talk on, we haven't really touched on it tonight, but, I was watching an interview with Cody Crowley, and he said he's fighting in February. And I'm thinking that he may be Spence's dancing partner. You all know anything about that or opinions on that?
He might fight Spence. Is that what you're saying? You heard?
Yeah. Spence he's announced that he's fighting here in the next month or so, and then Cody Crowley was saying something about his next step to actually fighting for a belt, but he said he couldn't say who it was. This was either today or yesterday on his Instagram. Anyway.
I mean, listen, people were shitting on Crawford for fighting Avenesi, and Crowley's just a little bit better, I would say. Or maybe just around the same...
I think so.
I mean, yeah. Well, what do you think?
He's pretty tough, man.
So would you be looking forward to that fight?
Spence has no tune-ups, but what is Crowley, 6? Like he's not a lot of people have heard of it unless you watch a lot of boxing or whatever, but I mean, I think he was sparring with Caleb Plant not too long ago. They were hanging out and banging, and he's a hard puncher, but I mean, other than Boots and Ortiz and Crawford, I mean, there's who else is Thurman's. They say Thurman's not a tune-up. There's a lot of people say that, but Thurman's just been out so damn long, man. I don't think you would. I wouldn't think you wouldn't call that a tune-up fight.
Well, I mean, listen, these people are just shooting themselves in the foot with their mouths. The way they keep talking, and no tune-ups, and then he fights Crowley. To me, that's a tune-up, man. Anything other than Crawford or maybe some of the other top welterweights out there, that's a tune-up, man. But anyway, listen, we got to move on here, but thank you for your call, and call back next time, right, man?
All right, man. It's Bender. I'll talk to you later, bro.
Oh,
y'all have a good night.
Brother. Thank you for your call, man. Take it easy out there. You too, man. Real quick, shout out to Frankie Sands for rejoining the BDA membership program. Says, Happy New Year's to everyone. Also, I'm happy Mr. BDA got rid of those stupid, unfunny communiques, or however you spell them. Cheers. Well, listen, it's from the people. I'm just reading I always try to give people a voice here, whether it's on the phone line or in the chat or the open panel or emails. So I'm going to make a poll, see if people still want us to read communiques, which, by the way, we haven't read in, 8 months. Maybe less, a little less, maybe a little bit more. I don't know. So we'll leave it up to the people, man. Shout out to Rider of the Storm for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, Happy New Year's, Mr. BDA. Many blessings to you and yours. Well, right back at you, Rider of the Storm. Thank you, man. Thank you for your contribution right there, man. Really appreciate it. And like I said, best wishes, man. All right. We got more phone calls here. So don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Let's go to 805 here. 805, you're on the air. 805, what's on your mind?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air, 805.
Oh, okay, yeah. Can we stop simping for Dana's White's wife?
Who's simping, man?
I'm gonna just be real. A lot of you guys out there are fucking simps. Just point blank.
You want to name names here?
We gotta worry about. we got to worry about a man's actions who's defending himself. First of all, what about her accountability? If you watch that video, the first seconds of the video that I noticed of the physical altercation, it seems like she does this, and it's common because he tries to hold her back before she even swings at him. Then she hits him. Mind you, she hit him first, and he's still trying to hold her, and then he lost it because she did it out in public. If she does this out in public, could you imagine in the private life?
Well, that's what we mentioned earlier on the show. I don't know. Is this Amak, by the way?
Yeah. I just got here, so.
No, we talked about that earlier.
On and off.
Dana White thing. Yeah, we mentioned that. We were talking about the Dana White thing earlier, like almost an hour ago. And yeah, we mentioned that. We said, hey, if she's doing that in public, what the hell is she doing in private? You never know.
I mean, he was excessive, I'll agree to that. But, like, when are these women going to start educating this other women? A real woman wouldn't do that. Like, let me ask you this, BDA. Would you start a fight with the tiger?
Yes. But that's
and then blame the tiger for retaliating?
But you're asking the wrong guy, because I'm a little bit, I'm protected by God, and that armor allows me to deal with animals. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Anybody else, yeah, that would be. You're right. Everybody else, yeah, it's I mean, listen, these guys, like, you can tell Dana White's yeah.
And then you got these YouTubers trying to say that the Tank situation and Dana's situation are the same thing. No, it's not. If you pay attention, Tank was the aggressor the entire time. Dana White, you could tell he was trying to use submissive force, and then she made it physical, and then he lost it.
Now, excuse me, Amok, you're referring to Tank's when he was in public and it's like basketball game or something, and he grabbed his girlfriend or whatever she was by the throat. That's what you're referring to, right?
Yeah, he walked all the way from the one side of the court to the other side. Right? Just to do that, that incident happened like that. In Dana White's situation, she just straight out hit him. And you also got to think about it like this. I mean, I hate to call it for what it is. That girl Tank's with, she just seems to be a Twitter thought.
Oh, wait a minute.
It is what it is. I mean, a thought is going to do thought activities. I mean, that's his poor decision making a bad partner like that.
There you go. That's a excellent point there, Amak. That's a great setup for a joke, by the way. Why did Tank Davis cross the basketball court? I don't know what the punchline would be, but it's a great setup. Anything else you want to say, man?
Yeah. Oh, that's it, man.
All right. Good to hear from you, Amak. Always good to hear your input, and we'll catch you on the next one, right, man? Take it easy out there.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Let's go to... Oh, by the way, excuse me. What else? Shout out to Michael Poe for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, awesome show on the Second Renaissance. Well, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Always appreciate your contributions, man. And hope you're enjoying these shows as much as we enjoy doing them. It's all about the people. Like I said, entertainment. You got to entertain the people, man. Come on. Shout out to Vladdy V for his contribution with the Super Chat. Says, the zero hesitation of BDA fighting a tiger is priceless. Well, I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn, but it takes time to get to that type of confidence. And it takes a lot of faith, too. Faith in the Lord. When he's there with you, nobody can stop you. Let's get on our phone call here.
Speaking of tiger fights, did you see Mike Tyson was on Tucker Carlson? Did the hour-long show? That was great, man. He had Tucker said it was one of the best interviews he's ever had. He was fascinated by some of the shit. Like, oh yeah, Mike went into like crazy detail and shit. Like he was talking about his tigers. They used to sleep in bed with them. When he had people over, they put them away because they were 400-pound male tigers that would climb into bed with him at night. One was dominant. There's always going to be one that's going to be more dominant. But every now and then, the other one would test his limits, like, test him. And when they did, it was on. And these motherfuckers fought like tigers. So he said one time he's in bed, and then he woke up, and these two are literally fighting over him. He had to fucking slide off under the bed and shit. And they're spraying all over the house to fight. But yeah, it was a funny story. Fucking Carlson was standing with his jaw open. Full-grown tigers were fighting in your bed? He goes, fighting on top of me.
That's insane.
Yeah, man, it was fucking great shit, man. But yeah, it would have to be someone as tough as Tyson because, I mean, Christ. because they take advantage. Like you said, he would have to. He wouldn't own them now because he's not older and he doesn't have that same. You have that mentality that you can kill them.
Absolutely.
For them to respect you type shit. But yeah, good. People check it out if you like Mike Tyson. It was great stories.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. Now I'm intrigued now. All right, let's go to a phone call here. Let's go to who is next here? 480. 480. You're on the air. 480. What's on your mind?
Hello?
Yes, 480. You're on the air.
Hey. So, we would all agree that Triple G early in his career was ducked, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
yeah, of course.
So is it out of the possibility that maybe Jaron Ennis is being ducked?
No.
Okay, so we can hear criticize his opponent, but like there's really not much you can do. I heard you say that maybe he should, you know.
Oh, come on, man. One at a time, please.
Oh, I didn't. Okay. He's got a delay. I was trying to say we're not blaming Ennis.
You're okay. We get it. We were not blaming it.
I think there might be a delay.
Yeah, there is a big delay. So be mindful of that, fellas, please.
Okay. So saying I'm not sure with him being on a different promotion, like I don't know, the Zone or Golden Boy or any of the other guys, would it help? Especially since these other promotional companies don't have any welterweights for him to fight, at least not any good ones. So the only way he's gonna get a decent opponent is if he gets mandated. You know, through the IBF or whoever, because nobody's going to willingly fight him right now.
Well, you know what my thing is,
they're rewarded for it. So
my thing is this: look, you can place the blame about who's avoiding who, whatever. Okay, I'll place blame on the PBC because they're on the same side of the street, like they said, and they're not making the fight. So the only thing that really comes to mind, or the first thing that comes to my mind, is incompetence from the PBC. Because again, they've had so many fights that they could have made, and they don't make them, or they take 3 years to make them. And again, that's indicative too, or endemic rather, of boxing. But nobody does it more than the PBC. So if I'm gonna blame anybody, I'm not ready to start saying this guy's avoiding him or that he is being avoided. I'm gonna blame the PBC for just not knowing what the heck they're doing and not having the budget or the TV dates to get this guy enough dates to him to show what he's got.
Okay, I mean they did offer Rashidi Ellis, who's on the same card. Yeah, they offered Rashidi Ellis to fight, but his people, because you know the fighters never turn down fights, but his people said that that they needed like one more tune-up, I guess, because he's been out for a long time before they get in the ring with him. So there's that.
We'll see, man. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, they're saying that this is going to be his year when they're actually going to. And listen, maybe if the PBC disbands or something, maybe he can. Those fighters actually get some proper representation who know what they're doing. And actually make this fight. Because I tell you who's losing out. Forget the fighters. We're losing out. We're not getting the fights we want. So if we all band together and start shitting on these people, we might get something done.
Yeah, to what your point, Mr. BD, it's always the same. When it's always that same promotional outfit, it's always the PBC that's doesn't make the fights. I mean, we just saw what Bud. They couldn't even get Bud and Crawford. I mean, it was a year ago. Next week was a year that Tim T. Swizzle Smith straight out said Crawford and Spence fans will rob it. They won't buy it. Who they kidding? The derogatory way he put that. The people who would want this fight, they're not going to pay for it. They'll steal it. They'll talk about it on Twitter, but then they'll steal it. I'm like, holy shit! The fucking.
What do you think of? Yeah, what do you think of Derek James' comments? He got interviewed. He said that Crawford is basically, he feels like he's worth more than what he's actually, produced. We all know he's a great fighter, Hall of Fame, all that stuff, but his numbers are just not good enough for what he's asking for.
I agree with that. I think they've all done it, and I think Crawford has definitely done it, and I'm a big Crawford fan. I mean, dude, he wouldn't even take a haircut during a pandemic, fighting in an empty fucking room. Bob's like, remember Bob made those comments? He said, I could have bought a house in Beverly Hills for the money I've lost on this kid's fights. And he's going to turn around and hold me over a barrel? Not only hold him over a barrel, but when he fought Porter, he paid him $6.5 million because he didn't get enough fights in. But that's another thing that recently we found out from Kid Austin's father saying in the PBC contract. It doesn't even offer fighters X amount of fights. Usually most promotional contracts will say, we'll give you 3 dates. We'll give you a minimum of 2 dates of this calendar year. Heyman doesn't even do that. You fight when you get the call.
Why not? Yeah,
That's insane,
why not
man.
just take like a hit? Well, maybe not take a hit, but take whatever you can get for the first fight, and then if it's a great classic fight, which I'm sure it probably will be, then you can cash out for the second fight, which is more likely. If that makes sense.
Hey, look, I think that's why Crawford making $10 million fucking made things even worse. He just got paid $10 million to fight out of that kid he just knocked out. So think about it. Right? It's that type of mindset where you just got $10 million to fight him. What do you think he's going to want for Spence? Again, it's just because some knucklehead willing to spend that and lose money on you, because I can't see how that fight earned any money. But how do you sit there and think, and you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think they're both. But then at the end of the day, and Spence even admitted this, that he wasn't offered any guaranteed money either. They were both at the final thing when Crop was like, that's enough, because they wouldn't open the books. That was his final straw. He said they both agreed to X amount of dollars off the back end. And because Spence even said, motherfucker, I wasn't offered, because he was complaining about it, Crawford. What you can understand that there was no guaranteed money being offered, and Spence it was that tweet, 3 tweets that I guarantee it wasn't Spencer wrote them, just by the way it was phrased, but saying that straight up, that motherfucker, he said, MFer, I wasn't guaranteed any money either. So they weren't even guaranteeing these guys money, which is crazy. They should have been at least something guaranteed.
All right, there's too much cursing going on in this there's too much cursing going on right now in this conversation. Right, anything else you want to say before we move on?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right, well, thank you for your call, and call back next time, man. Take it easy out there. All right, let's go to 424. 424, you're on the air. 424, what's on your mind?
What's up, BDA? This is Joseph Bona.
Oh, Joseph, what's up, man?
Hello, Gonzalo and Jimmy, and a Happy New Year.
Hey, Paisan.
I've got Hey, Paisano, listen, I lived in Newport, Rhode Island for 17 years. If I was still there, I'd come up and see you, Jimmy.
Nice. You got some money, huh? Did you live in one of those big houses on the water?
Yeah, right near Second Beach.
No shit. Good for you. Nice location.
Yeah, that was when I was flush. Anyways, I got a couple things to talk about. The first one, I can tell you a great story about a woman beating a man and a man taking a fall. But I'll save that for a second Renaissance thing.
All right.
But anyways, I got a question. Has any fighter had such a train record of a career as Andrade? Can anybody name another one?
You'd be hard-pressed to find one,
6 months ago. Pardon me?
You'd be hard-pressed to find one.
Yeah, it would be hard to find one. I mean, now he's fighting fourth on the card. I wonder how much he's making. Anybody know how much he's making for this fight?
I would say $300K tops. Yeah, 350.
Certainly not $1 million.
That might. I had 100 in my mind.
You had 100 on your mind.
Anyways,
that's not about right. Yeah, listen, he's got I don't think he's making that much. I'm pretty sure they're telling him, and you guys tell me what you think about this. They're probably telling him, right? Hey, listen, after this fight, we got big things for you. Big things. Big things. Right?
Big things.
Right? I mean, they can't be telling him, listen.
He's done every big thing.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, they got to be telling him something to string him along.
Yeah, exactly. He's on his way out. The other thing is, I'm looking forward. Does anyone know when Progress and Tio are going to fight?
According to, what's his name? Teofimo Lopez Sr., you always got to take him at his word. It says they want him for April.
Yeah, bro, I wouldn't hold your breath on that one.
Was that Joseph?
Does anyone think Tio's going to make it the distance?
Guys, what do you think?
I think Prograis knocks him out.
Oh.
Yeah, I'd be leaning that way. I'd be leaning to a late round Prograis stoppage. I think, he's big, he's tough, he comes correct, he takes it serious, he's in the right mindset. But I just don't see that fight happening. I really don't. A pro bellum fighter, I just don't see it happening.
I agree with you, Jimmy. My thought is that his father's going to wake up and say, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't do this."
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. I think they want to put the Top Rank would rather go with the Pedraza route, see what happens there, or maybe Jose Ramirez. I don't know, man. It seems like it would be easier to make in-house. But anyway, listen, Joseph, we got to move on, man. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
Yeah, what's up with Boots fighting a guy named Karen?
Well, apparently it's people are avoiding him, this and that. I don't know, but look, listen, he's got to look impressive against this guy,
All
and
right.
then he's got to press for bigger fights, because this type of fights, they're not doing anything for anybody. Maybe for his hardcore fans, they get excited about it, but the rest of us, we want to see more, man. We don't want to pay for crap.
And it's a catch-22, too, Mr. BDA. You want to see him get rounds, but at the same token, this is the type of dude he's supposed to go out and just annihilate.
Absolutely.
So he's in a lose-lose situation. Say he's like, fuck it, I'm going to carry this bump for fucking 6 months to get some rounds. People are going to attack him and say, oh, he didn't take that guy out. But if he takes him out in one round, it's not doing himself any favors. Again, I just think he's in a bad situation. But anyway.
That's a good point. That's an excellent point.
I don't know whose fault it is. He's supposedly his own promoter. But there's fights I'm sure there's fights he can make that make sense, but this one doesn't make any sense.
He signed to, was it Gary Shaw? But I know, either Gary Shaw, but he signed to Showtime. He's a direct Showtime fighter.
So Showtime's giving him his opponents?
Yes. Yes, Showtime. He's in conjunction with Showtime, and I think Gary Shaw. He fights with the PBC guys, but he's not an according to Hoyle standard PBC guy.
Hey, listen, he might be picking his opponents the way that they're looking lately. But anyway, listen, Joseph, we got to move on, man. But thank you for your call.
All right, thank you very much. Anyways, Boots is on the same track as Boo Boo.
Oh, geez, don't say that, man.
His career has been the same way.
Nah.
All right, brothers.
All right, take it easy out there, Joseph. Thank you for your call, man.
See you later, Joseph.
All right, hey, shout out to Michael Poe for his contribution to the Super Chat. He says, Teo is out of his mind and father damage is done. Different manager won't do anything. I mean, people can point to the fact that, and by the way, shout out to Michael Poe. People can say, wow, look, his father took him this far, his manager took him this far. Yeah, but it's about consistency too. I mean, you can throw flowers at a guy, a manager and father for getting him to a place, but if you're giving him the props for that, then shouldn't they also take the criticism for how bad things go? Would that be fair to do? Or?
Of course, no, exactly. But again, he is who he is. He's the type of dude, I say it all the time, and if a fucking family member dies, they don't tell him about it. They don't want him showing up at the funeral. He's going to make a scene.
yeah, that's the way you describe the guy. I hope, look, boxing fans have fickle memories. You can look bad one fight and that's all people remember, and then you look good the next, and then that's all people remember. So what I'm saying is the career is definitely salvageable here, but it's gonna take some work. And it's gonna take some what do they call it? He's gonna have to pick himself up by his bootstraps and really get the job done. Elbow grease, a little elbow grease is gonna be required here. No more crying about how everybody hates you, blah blah blah. Just show up and do your job. That's all we want to see.
And just stop attaching yourself to fights that you can't get, because it doesn't make you look good. When you start doing that full court press, we want Prograis, and the fight don't happen, it just sours people on you. Keep your mouth shut, do the training, let your promoter do what he has to do. And if that takes maybe another grade up from, like Barbosa or something, then do it. But handle your business when you're in there. But just keep your mouth shut, dude. You know what I mean?
That's asking for too much, though. I think that's asking for too much. Be surprised if that happened. That's for sure. Last thing here, well, at least from my end, for the moment, is the... what's it called here? Hold on a second. I'm looking for the article. Oh, hold on a second. We have another phone call here. Let's go to 519. 519, you're on the air. 519, what's on your mind?
Hello?
Yes, 519. You're on the air.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Yeah, I just thought I'd give you guys a call because you're talking about Tio's management and specifically his dad, his father. I just wanted to give my 2 cents. This guy is a cancer to his career.
Oh.
And I think the dad, he should get rid of the dad as a father, manager, trainer, whatever, right away, immediately. It's taking a potential superstar right down to the ditch. And even if you hear this guy in between rounds giving his son, some what should be some instruction, he's like, "Come on, kick his ass! What's taking you so long?" I think it's just garbage. I don't know what you guys think, but his dad's just cancer. I just wanted to, put that out there.
Guys, what do you think about that?
Oh, agreed. His advice is terrible. What do you say, Gonzalo?
Oh, no, man, it depends. Because if they put somebody else in there, then he doesn't feel okay because his father's not in his corner and affects him mentally. It's kind of the same thing. We're back to square one. It didn't really benefit him. So he's got to really feel good about who he has in his corner, and the dad's got to accept it. And Tio's got to be okay with the dad stepping away. It's got to be like, they have to feel good about it. If they part on bad terms where nobody's okay with it, but it's something that's necessary, but it's basically dad, you got to step down whether you like it or not. It doesn't benefit, psychologically, it doesn't benefit Tio. So I don't know what the right answer is.
Caller, what do you think about that?
It's a tough one. I mean, I understand it's his blood, but I mean, he literally almost lost his life in the Kambosos fight. And that's a guy that they should, Tio should have really taken down with, not with ease, but he should have taken that down, no problem. A lot of people lost a lot of money on that fight. And I just think that his dad doesn't add a level of depth to this level of boxing that he needs. He needs someone that's certified that can really take him to the next level, because the guy's got skills. I mean, we all can see what Tio can do. He's one of the best southpaw fighters, like as an orthodox, that I've seen in the business for a long time. He's excellent at fighting southpaws, but his dad is like unbelievably roadblocking him right now. That's just me. That's just my opinion. I just wanted to see what the panel thought.
His father's cock blocking him. That's what the caller's saying. And listen, I think Gonzalo brings up an excellent point. Realistically, yeah, he should change trainers and all that, but is that a realistic move? Because that Teofimo Sr. has some sort of a Jonestown hold over his son, and that's going to be hard to break, man. So they need to get a deprogrammer or somebody.
Yeah, you couldn't try to have him as a second. That's for sure. He wouldn't act as a second, even if he was supposed to be the second. He'd be whispering in his son ear to, he wouldn't be able to handle it. Because he would feel important. Go, Gonzalo. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's so important that the caller brought up when he said trainer/manager. The reason that also it benefits him to stay with his son, if you look at the grand scheme of things, is because they spread the wealth within the family. They don't give that 30% to somebody else that they're not related to. Basically, all the income that comes in after they pay taxes, they keep it within the family. So I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things too.
Interesting. Well, listen, caller, we got to move on, man. But thank you for your call, and call back next time, all right, man?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, man. Thank you. All right, we got another phone call here. Let's go to 470. 470, you're on the air. 470, what's on your mind?
What up? Y'all can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, man. What's up?
What's up? Never Sober in the Discord. I just want to jump in with a couple things. First off, I want to say nobody wants to see Jaron Ennis fight some dude named Karen except for Rare Breeds Obsessed Ass.
Come on.
And, he's like Mirage for his own Benavidez, dog. And then, secondly, I think that Tank fight, but Hector Garcia, I think we got a recipe for an upset. I think with Tank's legal issues with his chick, I don't think his mind in the game. He's even alluded to like retirement already. He's even talked about how he didn't want to fight like that. I think, he's saying the right things to lose his next fight. And I think that the altercation with his girl, there had to be drugs or alcohol involved because something like that doesn't happen when you're sober. You know what I mean? Trust me.
Well,
and,
well, never sober, yeah.
Trust me. And what else did I want to say about that? Oh yeah, well I was watching the little Showtime 24/7 mini documentary, and Tank was looking heavy, bro. He looks like he's a fat camp. He looks like he's gonna be focusing more on losing weight more than anything. They put him in the kiddie pool to do the ice bath. It was very funny. I hope y'all should watch that.
Well, wait, that's because I heard you and other people writing that in the beginning of the podcast, and now okay, so because usually, like I mentioned, Tank Davis he doesn't have the most. He doesn't have the Native American genes where his cheekbones stick out, right? He's got a chubby-looking face, but it's one thing to look chubby, and I've seen other people like Paulie Malignaggi, they look chubby, but then they have a six-pack. So I was thinking, is that maybe that type of situation? But you're saying that he got into that fucking ice pool or whatever they call it, and he looked fat. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he was looking heavy. He looks like they're really going to be focused on him losing weight more than anything else. And his coaches, they're watching tape on Hector Garcia, and they look like they're looking right past him. He's worried about the wrong Garcia. You know what I'm saying? And I think if his power can't bail him out, I think Hector's going to piece him up, beat him up.
Whoa. All right, well, Never Sober, we got your prediction. We'll see what happens. It's a bold one, and there certainly is. Listen, the worst thing you can do against a guy like Hector Garcia, who's got a good gas tank, is to show out of shape, because that's a recipe for getting outworked. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Never Sober, anything else you want to say before we move on?
No, that was it, bro. I got Garcia beating this. I got Garcia this weekend.
All right. Well, listen, we'll see what happens. We'll see if that manifests. Thanks again for your call, Never Sober, and we'll catch you on the next one, man. Take it easy out there.
BDO, he made a great point. Think about that. Say even if there wasn't alcohol involved, that means he's brawling like that when he's sober. And on top of that, his girl's bringing that shit into his world, 10 days, 2 weeks out of a fight? 2 weeks out from your fight, and that shit's going down. So a boxer at that time, a boxer, 2 weeks out of a fight, is miserable. Can't eat nothing they want. They're hungry. They're tired. Their joints ache. Depends on how much of a fight camp he's going through. So they're already moody to begin with. And his is good. Why did you want the truck? Did you want to go out and hit the club? You know what I mean? Is that or is she going to the supermarket? Like, I don't understand. They didn't release those details. Like, why did you want the truck? Was it to go out and make him jealous 2 weeks before he's having a fight? Just everything about that bitch screams wrong. But he went and had a baby with her. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I also forgot, Jimmy, now that you mentioned and the caller Never Sober, he's miserable and stuff. It was Christmas, right, and New Year's, so you're eating that ham, that turkey. Now this is one week after New Year's. You probably got some of that good food too. You probably did it like where you didn't eat as much as a regular person would, but you still had to get some taste of that turkey, right? And some of that fucking yam pie or whatnot.
Dude, you don't realize how much life is about food until you're dieting like that, until you're cutting to make weight or dieting for a specific reason when you're really shredding. You realize, like, everywhere you go, that's what everything's about, food. Whether it's cookouts, no matter where you go, it's always usually surrounded around food. So it makes some people, it gets to them a little, makes them move.
Well, hey, Jimmy. He should thank the Lord then that he's not Italian, right? Because if he was Italian, every time he goes to see his family, the antipasto.
Oh my God, they make you eat. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew you were coming. I made some baked manicotti. I got 6,000 calories of a fucking serving. Sydney, what's the matter with you?
But wait, I got a question. Why do they call tomato sauce? Why do they call it gravy? I thought gravy was supposed to be the brown stuff, for the turkey.
Well, gravy in the United States and Canada is brown stuff. I grew up, gravy was brown stuff too.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's just a translation from Italian. It's gravy. They don't call it sauce in Italy. It's the gravy. But then there's different levels of gravy. There's the thin gravy, heavy gravy. But yeah, it's just a translation from Italian. But Italian Americans call it sauce for the most part, unless they're right off the boat, Ginzu, and then they'll call it gravy.
All right, man. Well, listen. Yes.
Hey, can I say something, BD, Jimmy?
Absolutely.
And the thing about the truck, man, just nobody can like demand that you give up your property when you don't want to. Like you can't force somebody to tell you, "Hey, let me borrow your car." Now, if you keep harping on that and saying, "Okay, I want it," basically throwing a tantrum. Hey, man, if you said no, that's no, man. That's kind of like I don't know if it's against the law. But if you keep demanding that when you already set your boundaries, hey man, you got all your right to like maybe not step down from that and I don't know. I'm not saying call the cops or anything, but then this is what happened. Didn't the girl spit on him?
Oh yeah, he had spit all over his face. He posted it. But the thing is,
Jimmy, spitting doesn't hurt either. Spitting is like we mentioned, like when a girl slaps you, it's not gonna hurt as much as like when a guy hits you. Yeah, but it's like the act of spitting at somebody would piss you the fuck off, right? That's an aggression too.
Of course,
so if somebody spit at me, if a girl spit at me, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna knock her out, dude.
Oh,
well,
I'm gonna knock her out.
If she's doing it during sex, if she spits in your mouth while you're fucking banging, that's a different story.
Absolutely.
That's one of the worst things somebody can do. I mean, it ain't like one of them T-Rex, the fucking the Velociraptor, that's or like a fucking what do you call the dragons that spit at you and it's poisonous? No, it's not that. But I mean, just a physical act of spitting at like somebody spitting at you. You worked in the prisons. You know when the prisoners they chuck the fucking bullfrogs at you. It's kind of like that. It's gonna incense you. It's gonna piss you the fuck off.
Spitting is so degrading, man. You spit on another man. It's like calling him a bitch. It's totally fucking weird. Yeah, it sends you off, no doubt.
People need to know their boundaries, man. Who in their right mind will spit another human being?
I think with the truck, I don't know if it was so much her using the truck or it was the destination. No, you ain't taking my truck, right? Because like the mother of his kids, was he gonna say no? I'm the only one who smashes up the vehicles around here, bitch.
Oh,
like, what was his excuse? I doubt. I mean, come on. But seriously, so it was more. It was probably more the destination. He's like, nah, you ain't going there. Give me them fucking keys.
She probably said, yeah. She probably said, I'm gonna go hang out with a couple of the guys. He goes, wait, who? The guys? What's going on here? So yeah, man.
It pissed him off to make him jealous, knowing he can't go out and can't drink. So she wanted to get him because he probably did or said something to some girl on Twitter or who knows. You never know. I mean, listen, these aren't intelligent people and don't take them much to get fucking angry. Him and his girlfriend, I guarantee you. And so whatever it was, but just a fucking bad look all around, man. This time, especially that it was during the holidays and shit. Never mind. Can I just say something he did? I know this is silly and it's anecdotal. But that kid Max Boxing, he's just a teenager, right? He's just a 17, 18-year-old kid.
Who?
You would think if you're a Max Boxing, the teenage kid Little Max.
Talk about
he's called
Mighty Max.
Mighty Max, yes, Mighty Max.
Yeah, what about him?
That kid. Okay, he's obviously a boxing fanatic. In a sport like you compete in a niche sport, and you would want teenagers to be fanatical about your sport. You would want to try to promote that, right? So what does he do? He designs a T-shirt, and it's, I don't know, it had a logo on it. It said something boxing, but he said, I'm releasing my, T-shirts, help buy them, help support my channel. Just that type of shit, right? What is fucking, nobody wants to buy that fucking tired ass garbage or something like that. He
Davis said that?
Him. Tank Davis did that.
What the heck is going on with this guy? Yeah, that's I mean, like you said, how you treat people on the way up, and then how are they going to treat you when you go on your way down? He's not thinking that way. This guy, this Tank Davis doesn't have the most. He doesn't think too far, man. This guy, I think he's one of those classic guys that just lives in the moment, doesn't think about the consequences.
No.
So when he crashes into a pregnant woman and she's begging for help and he just walks away. Like John Jones too. I don't know. There's something within that community where they're very apathetic. They just don't think about the consequences, and they don't think about helping others. In fact, I've seen that in criminal shows where, like, psychologists are talking to convicts, like 18-year-old, 19-year-old convicts, and they go, you raped and killed a woman. It's like, why'd you do that? I don't know. And then they go, well, what if somebody did that to your sister? And then she goes, well, she wasn't my sister. It's like you can't think beyond. I don't know. It's almost like computers. It takes a certain amount of computing. Yeah.
There was a time when judges would take in consideration to the crime. Didn't always have to be felony, and like a lot of judges now, their hands are tied. They could progressive DAs, but that crime normally back in the day, it would have been like, okay, in Baltimore they knocked it all down to misdemeanors, which is ridiculous. They did 14 misdemeanors. The 3 of those charges would have normally been a felony. Fleeing a scene automatically makes you is equivalent to being drunk driving, because people don't flee unless there's a reason. So they automatically equate that to drunk driving. So they hit you with that same charge with bodily injury and fleeing the scene. That's a felony in any book. They knock it down to a misdemeanor. But then the judge would read the police report, listening to the testimony. When you have a girl saying, I looked Mr. Davis in his face and begged him for help, telling him I was pregnant. Back in the day, the judge would say, okay, this might only carry a year, maybe suspended, your first offense, 2 years suspended, maybe 10 months, up at the county. But the fact that he's just walking away scot-free, there's no repercussion to his actions. Again, drunk driving, hitting a car, if you hit a parked car and flee, oh well. But when you got bodily damage, when you get a girl in her early 20s who's got blood all over her face, and it's like, all you're concerned with is like getting the fuck away. Like, she's begging you for help, I'm pregnant. That's a monster. That's a fucking monster runs from that.
I mean,
how do you run from that shit?
He's certainly not somebody you'd want in your community, because who knows? That's a danger to your community. I mean, it's a guy that doesn't help. It's a guy that runs into people. It's a guy that smacks women around. I mean, you factor all of that together. It's not somebody you can rely on, and that's what you look for in community members. Let's go to a phone call here real quick, because we're running out of time here. Let's go to 917. You're on the air. 917. What's on your mind? 917. You're on the air. 917. You're on the air. You're gonna have to move to a different. You're gonna have to move to a different location. 917, because there's a lot of background noise. You got kids in the back. We don't want we don't want Tank Davis running through your house there, through the walls with his car. If he hears children, he seems to go for it. Caller, are you there?
There's a baby.
I think we kept them on the line for too long. That's one. All right, listen, 917. One last chance. 917. 917. Oh, he hung up. All right. Well, I went to read a couple of comments. I was laughing my ass off here. J Bone says Tank is gonna KO Minimax. I mean, listen, it wouldn't surprise me if he starts hitting a. Well, Minimax, you said he's not a teenager anymore, so. But I wouldn't be surprised if he would go after teenagers. Wrist Deep Jimmy, nice avatar there, says I don't punch down, just in the, and he has a peach symbol there. I think you guys can figure out what he's trying to get at. And official score was laughing. All right, well, listen. I think we've got a lot of things covered here for today. Anything else you guys want to say before we move on? Comments?
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Don't. It's not good to hit women, of course. But if somebody spits you in your fucking face, man, that's got to be one of the worst things ever.
I mean, I get your point about that, Gonzalo, but we're going beyond that. We're talking about running into pregnant women and fleeing the scene. We're talking like Amok said, crossing the basketball court and then grabbing and assaulting his girlfriend or whatever she is. I mean, you got to wonder what he's doing behind closed doors. And you have to wonder why people actually root for a guy like that. It's very bizarre behavior. When talking about avoiding people who show bad behavior, that's the type of people I would avoid in real life. Like if somebody in real life tells me, hey, I'm a Tank Davis fan, I will go, oh, despite everything he's done, or maybe because of it, because of that, that's why people are fans of his, because they love that type of behavior. I don't know. Questions to ask. Questions.
Well, he probably got little man syndrome too, no BDA, like Napoleon, the leader. That he was a short dude, but Tank Davis is like he's strong, he's tough, but then people assume, oh, he's just a little guy. The girls too, no.
Maybe that's his fans. Maybe his fans have the same thing. Maybe his fans suffer from the same thing. I don't know. It's a good point. I know it is. Yeah, good point. I know women look at him like, Christ, I'll let you climb me later. Oh, come on. Now, wait a minute. Listen, that's why yeah. Oh,
no, that was it. Yeah, that was it.
All right. Well, listen, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. We'll be back, I suppose, maybe on Friday. Open lines if this fight gets enough traction. By the way, before I go, I want to let you guys speak on a little something on speculate just how well or bad this pay-per-view does. I'll be right back. All right, fellas, you take over, please.
What do you say, Gonzalo? What do you think?
Where's the pay-per-view taking place? Is it over where he's from, Baltimore or Los Angeles or Vegas?
You know what, dude? I don't even know off the top of my head. I'm just curious on how much, because he's got a new promoter. Well, it's still Al Heyman, but he's under Tom Brown Promotions, not under Mayweather, which is, LB and shit. So I'm curious on how much they're going to lie, because they're going to lie about the number of sales. I would bet my fucking life that thing doesn't do more than 125,000, 150 tops. But I say they'll say it's between, I'm going to be generous and say they'll say between 275 and 300. That's what they'll say it did. But I guarantee you it doesn't do fucking barely half that. Just won't.
It's a good strategy that they announced the Ryan Garcia fight, that it's, I don't know, basically it's like a done deal that, or I don't know, potentially it's happening, but so they mentioned that so if after this fight, if he beats this guy, he's fighting that guy. That's a good strategy.
Well, I guess
because people are gonna want to tune in to see him beat this guy, and they're gonna and then the talk revolving around, okay, yeah, if he beats this guy, he's fighting Ryan Garcia next. So that's a good strategy.
Oscar was just at his local high school that he went to high school at. He went back. They were doing a food drive, and somebody caught him coming out of the car and asked him about the Garcia Davis fight. He made a point to say, no contracts have been signed. He made a point to say that. He did say that, credit to both the fighters for pushing it. I think he was letting people know that he was the one pushing it because it was up to him. He wouldn't maybe cave in on some of the things, but I guess Garcia really wants it. But the bottom line is, so far, all we have is a tweet from Espinoza. Done deal. No dates, no times, the contracts haven't been signed. They've agreed on terms, meaning payout, pay scale. They've agreed on that. But that's hell and gone from a done fight. There's a shit ton of things like, most importantly, what network? Because that's when they get involved. What happens if, because they're not going to get off their square. They're going to say it's Showtime. Without it, no questions asked. The only way they'll let that fight go forward is if Showtime gets the U.S. rights or whatever pay-per-view they use. The Zone, they might say we'll get the European. I don't know. I don't know how they would actually work that out. But that's where usually it falls apart. Fighters constantly agree on terms. Buffett and Spence agreed on terms. Yeah, we'll take that amount. But, and then that's when Crawford said, but I want to see the books. And Heyman said, no, you'll get an itemized list. Wait a minute, so you're going to give me a handwritten list of what you said the fucking shit did? No, fuck. Pussball. You're going to give me the fucking open the books and show me what you paid tax on. Because that's when I know. You know what I mean? Like, how many pay-per-views did you pay tax on?
So, sorry.
Or I would say, if Showtime announces it, because if Showtime announces it, it's got to be real. What's that?
So I missed. PDA? Yeah, sorry, because I missed what you guys. I couldn't take my phone with me. But so what did you guys say about the Tank Davis pay-per-view numbers against Garcia? What's the ballpark?
Well, I mentioned to Jimmy that it's a good strategy that they announced Ryan Garcia fight if he beats this guy. So there's gonna be a lot of talk of that fight happening. But Jimmy was saying, okay, it's not signed. It was just spoken about. So the contracts haven't actually been signed. But yeah, if that were the case, for sure that he's fighting Ryan Garcia, there's going to be a lot of expectation on what happens in this fight. So that's a good strategy, in my opinion. And in regards to the incident or incidences that happened with Tank Davis, I guess bad promotion could also be good promotion in the sense that there's going to be a lot of people interested in the gossip. Hey, what's up with this guy? Allegedly, he beat up his girlfriend. Let's tune in to see what happens. Hopefully he gets his ass kicked. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people are going to tune in to watch him lose as well. So, I mean, they might sell a little more than what he does usually because of that. And the expectation, if he beats this guy, he potentially fights Ryan Garcia. So I think it'll do a little bit better than 150,000, maybe 200K. And I asked Jimmy if it was in Baltimore, he usually sells out because they do promote this guy like a guy that usually sells out the venues. So I mean, he'll do all right, in my opinion.
Yeah, Jimmy, what'd you say?
I said it does 125, 150 tops, but they'll say it did 275 to 300.
Now, I mentioned that in the... By the way, everybody go check out the Boxing Most Showcase Moments 2022. I think you're really going to enjoy it. It's a recap of 2022. And I mentioned you there in that documentary there, Jimmy. Although I didn't mention you by name, but I showed your the tweet that really got under people's skins when you said that you heard a rumor from a trusted source that the Cruz fight versus Davis actually did 100,000 or under. And they got mad at that. But I'm thinking, well, they're using the same tactics. You know, it's somebody not associated with PBC says, I heard from a source that it did 275,000. So why can't people do the opposite? I mean, excuse me, why can't people do the same thing but the opposite results? It's very suspect if you ask me.
It's the same thing with, I just was on Twitter before I get on here, and even I was looking at it when we were just talking, but I went to Hamanite's thread, and he put out a tweet where, Stephen Fulton called out Inoue, called him out over and over again. Anytime they wrote an article about calling Inoue pound for pound, Fulton, I'd knock him out, I'd wipe him out. He doesn't have power 122. We always say something, so he's clearly paying attention enough what the fuck's going on anyway. Okay, so he puts out that word salad video that he just did where he's like, but he, strongly lets everybody know that, I sent a contract offer to Figueroa. That was me. He's pointing himself. That was me. We sent that offer. But then I only fought once this year because I was waiting on MJ's punk ass. That's what he says. Like, wait a minute. But at no time did you say, because I sent him an offer too. I was waiting to hear back. So wait a minute. You're waiting on a dude that you didn't even send an offer to? So that was the reason, because he said, he blames him, basically said, and I only fought once this year. I could have fought again, but I was waiting on MJ's punk ass. And then he goes in from that, which was stupid because you didn't send a contract offer to MJ. You didn't send him nothing. You were just waiting on some other fighter. It's silly. But then he goes on to say, and then people are like, oh, he should have known Inoue was coming up to 122. He should have known. Get the fuck out of here. How the fuck was I supposed to know what are these? I don't pay attention to what these people are doing. It's like, wait a minute, dude. You're the one who's been calling him out, saying you knock him out every time he's either fight week or they put out the pound for pound list. So you do pay attention. And then, so of course, Hamanites has quoted Fulton of saying that, and then puts up all the things, all the headlines, dating all the way back into January, where Inoue says, when I'm done with Palta, well, the first time he actually said he wants Fulton was in January. But after that, every time he talked about it, win, lose, or draw, I'm moving up to 122 and going after Fulton. That's my target. So for him to sit there and say, well, I had no idea he was moving up after the Butler fight, and again, he has all these headlines where it says, after I unify 118, I'm going up. And in the articles, it says, I'm petitioning the WBO to get super status, so I will be Fulton's number one, which is fine. If Fulton didn't say nothing, everybody would have known it was. The PBC is just not going to make that fight. So it is what it is. But for him to sit there and say, oh, how was I supposed to know? Because he said, basically, I made the Figueroa fight because I didn't know that Inoue was moving up. And so, again, he put that tweet together with and somebody said, oh, you're going to piss a lot of people off with this underneath it. Think about that. Okay, so just you wrap your head around that. Wait a minute, so he's going to get people pissed off that he's showing that Fulton's full of shit. And actually the wording he used, he said, Stephen Fulton's full of shit. He didn't know he was coming up. I mean, because Inoue doesn't dick around with that shit. He's not sitting there trying to talk bullshit. He just said straight up, when I'm done unifying, I'm done with 118 and I'm going to 122 and I want Fulton. He said it over and over, month after month. But again, his fans aren't going to just take the time to do the research like obviously Hamanites did. Kid does pull up those articles. He goes, I don't know if he saves them when they're out. I don't know. I should ask him. But he had it all together. There's all the dates that he fucking Inoue said that. So you're full of shit, dude. You knew he was coming up. You just couldn't make that fight. Heyman said, no, you get Figueroa rematch at 126 if you want, your next fight. Because you're fighting who we say when I say. But he can't say that because again, in that same video, he says, "Oh, there's so many things I want to say, but there's a right time to say it." Meaning, when you're not under contract, when you don't have a DNC, a non-dispar, an NDC, a non-disparagement clause, so he can't come out and say, "Well, it's not up to me," because then it's not a good look. But what he's done in the interim is make himself look like a liar. But again, people's response, his fans are, "Oh, you're going to piss people off with that." So again, they call it a narrative. No, that's not a narrative. A narrative is when you try to make up a false, narrative. You're trying to create a narrative to control the situation. When you state facts about somebody, it's not a narrative. It's a fact. That's what happened. So again, it's just. I think that says a lot about the mindset of his fans, where they get angry at people for pointing things out.
Yeah, they call it "tell your truth." That's what they call it now. They don't say your version now. They're calling it your truth. They've been doing that. They started that off in the Hollywood movement with celebrities and all that. Like he's gonna tell, what's his name? Some fucking actress. I'm gonna speak my truth. And it's like, what's your truth? What does that mean? So that's what it's been going on in Twitter too, and it's getting even more pronounced now. But anyway, listen, fellas, great breakdown by the way, Jimmy, of that whole sordid story. We gotta go. Shout out to everybody out there. Shout out to everybody who jumped on the panel. I'm talking about Jimmy, Gonzalo. Shout out to you fellas. Thank you for joining us. And everybody who donated with the super chat, you guys know who you are. Unfortunately, I can't look at the names here. I'm telling you, YouTube used to allow you to do that. Now they don't. They don't show you the list. Don't forget to hit the like on the way out, fellas. Really helps us out. Hit the like, hit the like. Don't forget to check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and Spreaker at your leisure. Spread the BDA gospel. And that's about it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about Eparokua. I run with the K. Who else? We had Chulis, Knockout Ned, Sam Mando, Rando Eparokua, Eddie Valenzuela. Who else do we have here? Hold on a second. Yeah, man. Knockout Ned was in here as well. Shout out to everybody. And we'll see you on the next one. That's about it, man. You guys know who you are. I'm kind of losing my train of thought here. A little tired. But listen, fellas, thanks again. Shout out to everybody. Catch you on the next one, fellas. Take it easy.